paradigm of absolute control. And that's why we're just out here doing simple things, pointing out that we're meant to be in nature and be natural. And this is where we find the source that God made to transcend the New World Order. And that's why they want to try to keep us out of it.
I'm angry. I've had enough of these people. They're a bunch of Christian murderers scum. They're on giant death factories keeping babies alive and selling their body parts. What more do you need to know about these people? I go out and face these scum. They literally crawl out from under rocks. They have green looking skin and they run around screaming, we love Satan, we wanna eat babies. I have them on video. Hillary's in the creepy, weird, sick stuff, man. She sleeps in the same room with that creepy, weird woman whose mother wears a hood over her head. What the hell? That woman number one is ugly. Imagine how bad she smells, man. I'm told her and Obama just stink. Obama and Hillary both smell like sulfur. Literal vampire pot belly goblins are hobbling round coming after us. My spirit gets close to that evil and I feel it go. We're such self-centered crap. We don't even notice hell itself rising up against us. Millions of pointed people of the very worst type, and I'm so pissed. We're gonna stab your daughter at the mall. We're gonna stab your wife, your son. We're gonna stab you with a butcher knife, and then the police chief is gonna say, we love our Somalis, we love our Muslims. Oh, they're so good. Oh, they're so sweet.
Hey, what's up, everybody? What is up? It is going on 10 o'clock. Oh, man. I tell you. This world is going to shit in a handbag. And I feel kind of like, you know, we are allowing them to do it. We are allowing them to do it. Colbert got kicked off the air and was brought back on it because, oh, you can't kill his speech. You can't take his speech away. His speech is important. But the Democrats and the Sandy Hook family have been going after Alex Jones for the longest fucking time that I fuck. Dude, I think at 2017, I think is when the Sandy Hook family and the Hillary Clintons and the Democrats, lawyers, and everybody else decided to go after Alex Jones. Infowars.com, everybody. It's so aggravating. It's so aggravating, I must say. Dude. It makes you wonder, dude, if freedom of speech doesn't actually work for Infowars, then when, I guess you could say it would be around that time to start suing CNN, MSNBC, and everyone else, because they just proven the fact if you have corrupt lawyers and corrupt people like that, we can get rid of your freedom of speech. Gag you. Whatever we want. And there ain't a damn thing any of us can do about it because we allow the government and those in power to tell us to fuck off, sit down, and shut up. That's what we do. Because why? Because we are known as the American bitches. Okay, so earlier today, Alex Jones, breaking update, federal judge Greenlights shutdown of Infowars. Alex Jones fires the bat signal on what could potentially end of an error. But never forget, no matter what happens, Infowars will never die because you are the Infowars. Yes. That is what he says. Alright, and then I think it's this one.
Supremacy.
Is it this one? I'm trying to create anti-white sentiment. No, that's not one I wanted to do yet. Here we go. Here we go. This was posted today. It's the same one that I read on the other. But here we go. Let's do this.
Out for many, many years against the deep state and the system attacking us. And the federal judge that has been presented with all the corruption, all the fake auctions, all the fraud he's admitted that happened. Just about 45 minutes ago said, hey, you can, the stay's lifted, you can seize Infowars. And so they don't want money.
That judge is a bitch. I'm going to be listening to a lot of the earlier episodes so I can get that judge's name because he's a bitch.
It's all an appeal anyways. They want to destroy it. They say in the news, we want to shut him down. That's our mission. Then they also say he won't give us money. He has hidden money, which isn't true. So it's the most deceptive garbage run by the Democrats, the DOJ previously. The current DOJ had an investigation going. Their idea, Ed Martin, it's cut and dry, the documents. That got killed last week by the deputy attorney general who really runs things. And that's where we are in the year 2025. So I'm going to go to break here for a moment. And then I'm going to go with Harrison Smith and give more details of this. But it's been the fraud and the corruption and the stalking and the lies to shut us down. Obviously, it's me they want to silence and the guests and what we do here. And now the whole world is waking up. And you know, if they thought they could shut me down and shut all of you down, they failed. But it's a symbol. And the more they couldn't shut us down, the more they wanted to. And the more we survived, the more people said, oh, it's not real, even though I'm in court and in battles and having them get all my discovery and then leaking select stuff, you know, and just all of it. And I'm in the arena fight with everything I got. It's been a tiny percent of the listeners that have actually supported. And I'm not mad at the others that didn't, but when you stand up for us, you stand up for yourself. So all I ask for today is your prayers and that justice be done. But nobody keeps stuff in bankruptcy 3 years. Judge Lopez, a Trump appointee, has ruled 10 times in a row against them. This 11th time he did.
Judge Lopez, what's up, my dude? When you guys had that auction and everything went to shit in the auction and stuff, how come Judge Lopez did not go after the Sandy Hook family? That's what I'm saying, man. There was corruption during the auction. You guys could have went after him, but you didn't. That's cowardice, Judge Lopez.
He shut down their fake auction. He shut down, they sent in private security to shut us down. He did it on and on and on. Because it was illegal. He'd say, you can't do this. But now that the state courts got maneuvered in position, he said, fine, I'm Pontius Pilate. I wash my hands, and so you can do this. And they said they're going to come in and operate as us, pretend they're me. They said they own my name. They said the 13th Amendment against slavery doesn't apply to me. They literally said that in the filing almost a year ago. You can look it up. And to me, it's just, if they can get away with this, they can get away with anything.
That's right.
Yeah, I'll continue on. Hell, everybody's going to want me on. It's going to be a huge explosion. But it's a non-dischargeable debt. They want to harass me forever, which is fine. I mean, literally, I can just, the company I work for, can just have a company house. I just live there. I mean, I'm not even worried about that. It's just that the mass exercise of naked organized corruption by people raising $300 million, who've shown the documents off my name, while they claim I made money off them, barely ever even talked about these people, to watch the Democratic Party wear the dead skin of kids from Sandy Hook and then wear my skin and say I'm this villain that's done these things. It's all a premeditated psyop, and there's $74 million against Remington, bankrupting Remington. and being used as a weapon, the straw man they built against the First Amendment and the Second. This is a spiritual battle.
Yeah.
But the judge did rule that the stay's lifted. So last time they had their fake auction, they were here the next morning. They had the fake auction November 13th. They were here the next day. Told me get out. I wouldn't, so they killed the internet. I went to the backup studio that I don't own, funded by Bigley and the AlexJonesStore.com. And again, I don't own that. They're going to run right into brick walls on that. And we have all these other sponsors. But that's why you need to go to the AlexJonesStore.com and support right now, because I don't want to just continue on with the shows we're doing now. I want to go at least 20 hours a day, 19 hours. I want to go like live 5 a.m. to midnight every day, because we need to be covering breaking news. We need to be putting the clips out. We need to be engaged in this fight. They want us off the air because we're so effective. That's why they panicked. But I told you Comey would be the first to be indicted 6 months ago. And I told you hundreds of times. Do I get an apology? I told you this is a real fight. And how are all you going to feel when they shut us down?
Yeah.
They said, Alex is just hyping this up. I've given everything I've got to this. All I need you to do is realize this is a real fight. I'm fighting for you. So I'm fighting for myself. We all have collective freedoms. I fight for myself, but I'm fighting for you. And the minute you understand this is a war is the minute we really start winning. We have a tiny percentage of people that are engaged and committed and get this. If I could just get a few more percentage points of you to really engage by praying and spreading the word and financially supporting whoever you support, we can change the world. But I'm lucky they didn't just kill me. You know that was debated. No, don't turn him into a martyr. Shut him down, steal his identity, create a thing that's not him, a straw man, and use him as a fundraiser. I was blessed in their delusion. I thought it worked, but it backfired.
Yep.
Their official story, their lies, everything they've done has only made us bigger. And that's why they're so scared right now. And that's why now I'm in maximum physical danger from the deep state. And that's okay, I'm a big boy. But as long as I'm on the field, I'm going to give you 110% output. All I need is your backing and your prayer. Please pray for Infowars. Please pray for a miracle. And whatever you do, support the Alex Jones Network at AJN Live on X. They already tried to take the real Alex Jones on X. Elon Musk blocked that, but they're going to be back. And if you don't want to fight, that's fine. Roll over and surrender. We're winning. But those under the most attack are the ones you've got to bet on, because those are the most effective people against tyranny. It's so simple.
It is.
But you fundamentally have to have that sink in, that whoever's under top globalist attack is who we need to back, because they're over the target. You get the flag. Here's a short promo. I'm going to come back with some closing comments, and I'll be on the War Room with Harrison Smith. These shows aren't...
See, they didn't think about it, you know? They set out their crony, and that crony took out Charlie Kirk, and Charlie Kirk became bigger than they could imagine. All over the world, people were supporting Charlie Kirk. And they said, oh, there's a massive Jesus movement because of Charlie Kirk. Or everyone's screaming out, I am Charlie Kirk. And they're like doing all crazy and stuff. Just imagine if they had taken out Alex. And I'm pretty sure they've tried.
Some genre, and ooh, they're entertaining, and wow, this guy's intense. Why do you think I'm intense? I'm under total attack. I've been hunted for decades by these people. They've attacked my whole family. Our family's never been stronger because we're not wimps, and we understand we're doing God's work. But I'm in a war, and you better realize you are too. Do you understand that? My God, they've killed over 30 million people with the poison shots. They flood us with fentanyl. They're absolutely, in every major public and most private schools with grants, secretly brainwashing your sons and daughters to think they're another sex and make them totally mentally ill and then be mutilated, chemically or surgically. It is a devil cult. It's the same program worldwide. It's BlackRock. It's the New World Order. It's the transhumanist on record. They say the future's not human. They're building this nightmare world, and we're simply saying no, and we're valiantly fighting. Because on the other end of this, if we fail, is total enslavement and a nightmare hellscape. So just understand, you think I want to do this? You think I want to fight 18 hours a day? You think I want to do all this just so I can act tough? No, I've got to do it. Somebody walks up to me and punches me in the nose, or somebody walks up to me and it punches my kid in the head. I'm not happy about it, but I'm going to get pissed off and I'm going to go after them. It's the same thing in politics, folks. How much are you going to take? You got to get vocal, you got to get informed, you got to get engaged, you got to spend money and support the people that are at the tip of the spear. You've got to amplify all that, and you should get vocal, and you should get engaged as well. I know a lot of you are, but man, you got to do this with urgency. You're like, oh, it sounds like work.
I don't know, man. That sounds like a lot of work.
No, you're meant to do this, and the future is so dark if you don't, but we're turning the tide. We're winning. But they're going to false flag. They're going to pull out the stops. They've already implemented the Podesta plan. Everything I told you is happening. But they're totally freaked out. And all over the news just saying, he's on his last gasp. Get him off. The Democrats, the senators, just get him off. Just get him off. Just shut him off. Because I got their number. I got their name. I got their ass. And they're little minions. Most of them are compartmentalized. They don't know how all this works. They're getting decompartmentalized. A lot of them aren't pure evil, are waking up and joining us and whistleblowing, or just walking away. You can do that too. Just walk away. Run up the white flag, because you're in a war against us, and we're winning, and we're going to win. And where your bosses are taking you is hellish. The only way you fail is not joining us. Admit you're the bad guys. Some of you can admit that to yourselves. You're not totally turned over to evil yet. Be like Darth Vader. Throw your political system lovingly, nonviolently down the reactor shaft. Become honorable for once. It's exhilarating. It's a blessing to fight evil. It's so animating, as Thomas Jefferson said, the animating contest of liberty. You have to live the life of Thomas Jefferson to really read Thomas Jefferson. And then it's so much stronger. The other fake auction, they were here the next morning. They're getting decompartmentalized. A lot of them aren't pure evil. Waking up and joining us and whistleblowing, or just walking away. You can do that too. Just walk away. Run up the white flag.
Rebel base
Because
is
you're
ready.
in a war against us.
You may
We're
fire
winning.
when ready.
We're going to win.
Commence primary
The only way you fail. All right, so I'm showing this clip because the Judge Lopez in Houston, federal judge, said clear to fire. They have the receiver. They have the Travis County Sheriff's Department. I think they'll be here tomorrow. We'll see. And we'll be all friendly and nice and everything. And then Infowars is shut down. So then all of you that are actually listening have to remember, oh, go to Rumble, the Alex Jones channel. Go to Alex Jones on X at AJN Live. We'll be doing the shows there, satellite uplinks, same radio stations, everything. We're not going to give up. And they're going to continue to come after us then. That's why you've got to back us. But they are so discredited with their fake auction and sending in private security with no court order to try to block us down last May 31st. We've drugged this out for over a year, and it's exposed them to the court of public opinion. I go on all these big shows, and they go, congratulations, beating them. I'm like, I haven't. Well, they all, Bloomberg and The Onion, they got defeated. I'm like, they're not stopping. So they think shutting this down will somehow change the narrative. No. We have our abusive process, conspiracy against rights, civil issues, all of it. It's a whole new ballgame. And as long as you support us and our sponsors, I won't be the owner anymore. I'll work for a new company, new system that's already been set up. I'll be on air, and your support then will go to the legal offense and what we're going to do, because they have just continued what they've done before out of their desperation. And that's the reality of where we are. As long as we don't decide we're defeated, as long as we don't give up, because this isn't a four-quarter football game. This is an endless game. That's the fight between good versus evil. We win. But the variable is you. Don't thank me for what I've done. I didn't do this. We did this. The crew, the guests, the host, the journalist, you, the listeners, the viewers that spread the word and called in and did the things you did and supported us. You did it. So go get a T-shirt, go get a ball cap, go get our ultramethylene blue, go get our creatine, go get our bovine colostrum, go get our CMOS, go get it all. Big sale going right now. It all funds this operation, and they don't own that because I don't own that, and we have other sponsors and backers and more, and I pledge you this. When they told the founder of the U.S. Navy in the first big engagement of the war, his ship was about a third the size, he had half the men, and his ship was on fire and sinking, but he'd already tied up the British ship, and they held across on their bullhorn, not electric, just a classic one, just a metal cone. Give up. We'll give you a quarter. Surrender. And John Paul Jones said, surrender? I've not yet begun to fight. Ha ha ha! The fire of this burning ship is a torch in the darkness leading the way. And Infowars will not be owned by the Onion or Bloomberg. That's just a name. The people are the Infowar, and the Infowar never dies.
And look at him go. To the flag.
You okay? You okay?
This is undoubtedly one of the
Ooh.
toughest decisions that I've ever personally had to make.
I believe that's Owen Hart.
But after the accident and turn forward to the end of the Daytona 500, we've lost Dale Earnhardt.
Yeah, it's Dale Earnhardt.
Look, I'm not trying to frame myself as the GOAT. Like a Dale Earnhardt who died with his boots on, sword in hand, or Michael Jordan, or Tom Brady, or
Yeah.
Muhammad Ali. But the truth is, when it comes to information warfare and saving the American Republic, taking on the globalists, having the greatest effect, awakening Americans, people all over the world, Infowars is the MVP. And the bad guys know that. That's why they come after us. That's why they sue us. That's why they attack us, why they censor us, debank us, all of it. Because they see us as the lead elephant, the guy that has to be taken out. So, ladies and gentlemen, we've survived so many deep state attacks and attempts to close our doors in the last 8 years. It's intensified the last year. And people kind of see it as a boy who cried wolf thing. I mean, you see it in the news. They're coming to shut us down. You see them sending in armed private security with no court order. Bloomberg's group, The Onion, having fake auctions, and we keep surviving. And people say, well, you're invincible. But we've had big movements in state and federal court. So just please pray for Infowars and pray for our future, because we are fighting so hard. This crew has put up with so much. And please, please remember that the AlexJonesStore.com is not owned by me. And it's part of the Alex Jones Network. So even if they shut this place down, the Alex Jones Network, bigly, our sponsor, will be funding the crew, the satellite uplinks, the servers, the studios, all of it, the legal. And that's why when you go to the AlexJonesStore.com, you support there. It has a giant effect. Plus, I only sell you products that really work. The very best methylene blue, the very best bovine colostrum, the very best Shilajit, Irish sea moss, the very best spike protein detox cardiovascular booster, ultimate life force. These products are incredible. They have 5-star reviews, 80+% reorder rates. But I need you to get off the bench and go try the products, plus the widest selection of Patriot apparel at thealexjonesstore.com. It has been your financing of us that has kept us on air, and I want to thank those that have supported it and love the products. But I want to encourage those of you that see this broadcast like a Netflix show or an NFL game or entertainment. This ain't entertainment. This is men and women in the arena fighting tyranny at point blank range. The bad guys want us off the air because they know we are for real. So for our legal defense and staying on the air and expanding in the face of this tyranny, regardless of what happens, you decide whether we stay on air. So take action now at thealexjonesstore.com. Throughout this week, we've got deals on bovine colostrum, on
good stuff,
methylene blue, and all of it, where you buy one, get one free. But we're only running 2 days for each product. So check out whenever you watch this, which product is there. Buy one, get one free. But everything's discounted, at least 25% off at thealexjonesstore.com. Whatever you do, check out the widest selection of some of the best designs of Patriot apparel in the world. Over 600 designs. It's actually annoying how many dinosaurs are. It takes a lot of time to go through it all. And wear these shirts, wear these ball caps, and experience what it's like to see how many people are awake. It is a real adventure. So thanks for your support. Whatever you do, spread the word, pray for the broadcast, and I thank you humbly for all you've done. Now take action now in the spirit of 1776 at thealexjonesstore.com. Wars take money to finance. It's an info war, and you are the info when you take action. Thank you so much.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I'm posting all their commercials because I believe they need to get some extra money in their books, because I like Alex Jones. And as you can see, I've also on the chat, I put the links up on Kick, Rumble, and YouTube. All right. All right, this is the next one. First Amendment bombshell. Federal judge Greenlights the shutdown of Alex Jones Infowars as early as tomorrow. Just 5 days after Deputy AG Todd Blanche killed the government weaponization task force leader Ed Martin's investigation into the Biden admin document DOJ-led attempts to close Infowars. The pro-Trump media juggernaut faces imminent closure. Alex Jones calls on President Trump to take immediate action to correct outrageous deep state mafia operations. And I'd say the same thing. Trump, he's our man. Get your dick off your hand and start helping we the Americans. I kid you not, dude, how disappointed I am, bruh. If we're going to go into a war, let's just have it out. You did pretty good getting illegals, but then it looks like Antifa's now on the books, and you guys ain't doing nothing about it. Sure, you sit there and say, oh, well, we arrested them. Yeah, well, in the cities that you arrested them at, I hate to say it, dude, but you ain't going to get any convictions because they're all wearing masks. They're all doing it. And you're not going to have any convictions, dude. And it's really aggravating. You got Muslims in Texas doing all kinds of crazy shit, trying to bring in a little bit of Sharia, trying to bring in a little bit of crucifixion of the American people with their Sharia law. And let's look at Dearborn, Michigan. What's going on with Dearborn? Mr. President, I voted for you, bruh. I like you. And I dislike the Muslim corporation. They took out Twin Towers. I watched that shit on MTV. Thought it was a movie. I think I was awake for about 5 minutes as I walked downstairs. And I see two people jumping out of a fucking building. And what did we do? We allowed the Democrats to bring in our enemies and start doing what they're doing in London and London and Canada and all the other Western fucking states. And now it's like, oh, we can't be mean to the Muslims. We must protect the Muslims. Oh, their pedophile preacher. Oh, their pedophile king. Oh. Anyways, Mr. President, it's about time that you start showing actual faith to your supporters, bruh. Dead on, man. Dead the fuck on, Mr. President. Okay, here we go.
Would never be part of the fraud they brought him. But at the end of the day, like Pontius Pilate, he said, I'll give you what you want, and signed off on it today, which my lawyers thought. I mean, their filing is so horrible. It's all their quotes and admissions. We don't want money. We want to shut him down. This is political. Ha, ha, ha. Yeah, we rigged the, we deposed him, and they said, yeah, we rigged the auction. We don't want you to have it. That's fraud. That's criminal. But listen, the DOJ is still investigating. You think you got that killed? Think again. You wait till your little deputy AGs. Okay, we knew we were thinking way ahead of that. Thanks for showing yourself. Just a little more weight. We're getting close. But the civil stuff, and you think you shut this down and magically the money goes away. No. Now that we're going to be out of the bankruptcy, all these backers can legally back us and do all this stuff. And as long as Mr. Jones never touches any of it, you can't do anything. And so you think you've won.
Oh, shit.
The war just begun. You just act like Admiral Yamamoto, or you just act like Emperor Hirohito.
I would say you would have to put the money in your kid's hand, man. Rex's hands, dude. Put him as the new face of Infowars.
Right after they hit Pearl Harbor, you just sit back and you just adjust your suspenders and you play with a little pee-pee, and you just keep laughing. Just, oh, it's so funny.
Yeah.
Or like Santa Ana after he wiped out the Alamo. You just feel good, maybe fire up a cigar, and just keep on laughing, because I know history. I know the arc of justice, as Martin Luther King talked about, bends towards justice, and I know, and I can see it all around me. So salute the listeners and viewers and supporters. salute the crew. And the big thing is going to be when we announce these new news sites and all this new stuff, it just everybody hits the ground running because the info war has just begun.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Well, here's the big announcement. You know, I hate Alex Jones is always right, or pretty much always right. Enough time, I'm always right. We've survived so many attacks, and it became a thing like, oh, these aren't real attacks because they're surviving, even though we're like at the very tip of the spear, talking about the New World Order, basically when nobody was in any mass media. And so I've gotten the ire of the globalists. My crew has gotten the ire of the globalists. We've been through hell. We've been incredibly persecuted. But I want to just say, I'm so proud of the crew and their perseverance and yourself and just everybody and what they've done. You see this Bloomberg headline from just a few hours ago, and I would have come on earlier, but I talked to lawyers for hours as they drove back from Houston to Austin to make sure I was right about it. And of course, what I said right after the ruling, listening to it myself, I had a guest on talking, and I'm like listening to it on the phone. And you can listen to the audio or watch the video, but I was listening to it. And the judge said, no, I am lifting the stay for Judge Guerrero Gamble, the Soros judge that did the show trial with HBO here in Austin. They already have the receiver appointed. They already have the order to the sheriff's department. Now it's just up to them to implement it. And he lifted it, even though his previous orders said no. He came out and said, my orders never said that. My lawyers are very seasoned. Shelby Jordan and others said they've never seen anything like it. And they believe it's because of how damning our filing was with all the total proof of process violation, which sounds like a boring name. That means criminal violation of rights. He said previously that the...
Oh no, man. Maybe they got to the judge, man. Maybe they got to him. Maybe they threatened his wife, his dog. Maybe they kidnapped his cat. You never know, man.
Auction was a fraud. And the first thing he said to Chris Murray, the U.S. trustee, is, well, what is you and your side going to do responding to Infowars? Well, he's supposedly with us. He's supposedly the trustee. The judge literally said, what are you and your side going to say? First, Murray, what are the plaintiffs going to say? Which is like an absolute broadside. So he was really pissed. First, he was like really pissed. And he usually likes, Shelby, who's a very well-known lawyer, one of the top respected guys in Texas. He's been around for a long time. And he was very, very curt with him. And he just basically punted. He Pontius Pilated it, which has gone on 3 years. That's a marathon for a bankruptcy, because they would always say, criminally investigate him, court. Use their own money to investigate him. 4 investigations. The judge said that a year ago. They go, there's no investigations. Nothing came out of this. You never filed anything. You never found anything. He's told the truth. IRS audit. We got a huge tax return, but then it gets paid into the bankruptcy. I mean, they thought this Lex Luthor thing, as they said enough on TV, was true. And, of course, none of it was true. The New York Times had to say last year, turns out Infowars had meager assets. So here's the big announcement. The Death Star is clear to fire. Like at the end of episode 4, when it's orbiting the planet and finally goes, the Death Star is clear to fire. And Governor Tarkin, whatever his name is, says, you may fire at will, Commander. So it's lined up. They've all been all over the news, the plaintiffs' lawyers, all of them, Democrat Party operatives, former federal prosecutors saying, the last gasp, we've got him. We don't want money. We want him off the air. Then separately, there'll be an article, he's got hundreds of millions hidden. It's our money. While they do PR and raise money off me saying I'm victimizing them. I never did any of this stuff. They say in my name I did these things that I never did and that nobody ever did. That's what they had to have show trials. I was already found guilty, where the judges control the evidence. But even there, my lawyers would say, did anyone at Infowars ever say your name? No. Did anybody ever do anything to you? Well, who peed on the graves? I don't know. Somebody told me. Who? I don't know.
Still ain't said his
Who came to
name.
your house? I don't know. Somebody told me. Well, who were they? I don't know. Did you? I mean, literally, I saw a leprechaun in my toilet this morning. Well, you saw it? Well, no, actually, my neighbor did, but I can't tell you who they are. I mean, they just beat the dead horse. Like Trump hates all Mexicans, says they're all criminals. No clip anywhere close. Trump says the KKK are very fine people. He said they're not very fine people. They don't care, people. So here's the deal. We have been spared so many times by God in this fight. The last 8 years of lawfare that's been so intense. But Judge Guerrero Gamble despises me, absolutely hates me. They already have the receiver appointed. Last time they had the fake auction, November 13th, remember, they were here the next day. So I expect they're here tomorrow. And of course, it'll be the sheriff's department. We'll be nice. They got a court order. Come on in. Sure. Okay. Bye-bye. I mean, Rob's going to see them tonight.
Yeah.
So I did it last time they went through all this. And I got a few mementos. I already knew this was coming this morning.
Truthfully, man, they need to stay live all night long, to be honest with you, dude. I mean, that would be a good thing, to be completely live. At least that's how I feel about it.
There was like an old pit up of one of our magazines 15 years ago on the wall. This man wants your guns with Obama on the cover. I took that off, went and gave it, to some of the crew, and I said, hey, the new studio, let's have this. But if you ask where Infowars is going, I will not be the owner of it. It's the Alex Jones Network. It's Bigly. And we've got all these great sponsors and backers coming on board. We have a little backup studio built that they finance and run and own. They're literally have gone in now on the new studio that's bigger and even better than this. But we're going to have a podcast studios, a news desk, and then one studio for the host, but a bigger one, not nicer than these. And that's it. So, and we intend to go 20 hours a day at least, or 19, from midnight to 5 will be rebroadcast. And I want, hire people that I believe in, that I think are smart, that I agree with, disagree with, but have integrity. And I want just X up on the wall and the news feeds and kind of bloop, 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 covering things as they break. That's my vision, is lots of 1 hour shows. And people that are really good.
Yeah.
Have great stamina. If somebody wants to come in and do a 7 a.m. show and come back at 3 p.m. and do an hour, that's great. But other people can do an hour, cut it up, do reporting, do a podcast, go on other shows. I want to, and I'll be the news director.
There you go.
And then they can harass me with a non-dischargeable debt and chase me around. It means nothing to me. I mean, I've never been about, money and stuff like that. So it really means nothing to me. What matters is truth. I'm allowed to work wherever I want. I'm allowed to have a talk show. And I'll do this with a gun to my head. If they said, we're going to kill you, I'd say, pull the trigger. So I'm willing to die for this, like Charlie.
Hey, just give you heads up to The View out there. The View. ABC's The View. Once this goes through, you're aware it sets precedence now that we could start personally shutting down every single show that pisses us off. You'll have to find new work. Whoopi Goldberg.
Kirk. And I got people wanting to kill me, obviously, and you too. So we're all getting swatted and the rest of it. So you think taking money away and exaggerating it hundreds of times? I never made $60 million in my career. And most of the money I did make, almost $60 million, I had to ratchet up in the last 8 years. I was paid more in the last 8 years than I was before because I needed to beg for money and get my income up because I got to pay the lawyers. Right. So, there was some years I got paid $5 million and $4 million of it went to, because I got the big Democrat, but people go, well, why are you fighting? It's the price of freedom. It's the price of war. I'd have to die like Charlie Kirk. Just had to have my name dragged through the mud, my parents sued, and everybody harassed and everything else, but that's okay. I knew what I was getting into. My point is, to our enemies, if you think this harassment and all this garbage deters me or deters other Americans, yeah, you'll deter a few cowards and a few people that are like that. You just thin the herd with Darwinism of the weak people. Culturally, we're getting left with the warriors here. And it's a lot more than you thought, isn't it? You thought a mugshot would turn the world off against Trump. You thought trying to kill him or killing him would, you're lucky you didn't kill him. Boy, you'd have really got a problem. We're winning, not distributed around the world. Populism is rising. And so, again, the bottom line is you can read the articles. We finally got him. We'll shut him down within a week. Whatever. But their fake auction, their fake shutdown before that with private security in May 31st last year, that wasn't real. I didn't leave. When they come, Sheriff's Department, I know the Sheriff's Department well. Know them all, but they like me. Everybody knows who I am. Most of them listen. Talked to some of them today.
It would be even funnier, dude, if the Sheriff's Department that comes there and tries to shut them down or does shut them down actually stand down and say, we're going to be here until those that once you shut down show up so we can arrest their bitch asses. Now that would be a sheriff's that I would be proud of that I voted for. But will that happen? No, because, man, they scared. Sheriffs are little bitches now. So are the cops, little bitches. They only go after the righteous.
Into some, and they love me. And they all listen, literally. So, most of them. So, hey, have a cup of coffee. All right, how fast we got to get out? All right, sure, great. Have a good one. See you later. And we can leave it all on the field. 16 years in this building. This building changed the world. The people in it what we did, and it will make all of it more epic and more powerful going forward. And the bad guys know that. That's why they said, we want to own his name. They put that in bankruptcy last year. The 13th Amendment applies to everybody else.
Wow, look at that.
Indentured servitude and slavery. Did you hear me? Indentured servitude and slavery. Indentured servitude and slavery. But it doesn't apply. Alex Jones is a special case. They believe they can set these precedents with this straw man of me that's so demonized. Elon Musk came in and blocked it. They say they're going to own the name Infowar. It's a generic term, meaning information war.
Exactly.
I looked it up, the name, and talking to folks I knew in intelligence, Vic Freeland, in 1996, he said, you need a website. I said, well, what's a good name? He goes, well, you really are an information war. Let's see if that's available. And he went to Infowar, and it was not available. Infowars was. We paid $9. He actually registered first. Wikipedia says we started at $9.99. That's incorrect. Okay. It has my name spelled wrong, too, my middle name. I can tell you how you really spell my middle name. They may have fixed it. But the point is, Infowars is a generic term, meaning fighting with information. Some true, some lies. We use truth, they use lies. So now they're going to make the term Infowar even bigger. When I first started using the term Infowar, that I'd heard of here and there, but I didn't really understand it. Vic Freeland, the deputy fire chief in Austin, is the guy that really educated me. Nobody was using it. Now it's a household word. You don't take that out of the vernacular and you don't capture a URL and then put fake news up. They said to literally confuse people about my message and go, oh, Infowar. That's that guy that's into space aliens and chupacabras.
Chupacabra.
And they're so dumb that they never listen. So I'm not giving my enemies any news because they can't stop themselves. Can you imagine when they try to wear our skin? They say they're going to misrepresent and act like they're me. They claim they own my catalog. They claim they're going to misrepresent it all. I'm not like an actress or actor or
musical artist or something.
Somebody like Prince who sold his name to Sony and then they could come take it. I never did a 360, bro. I'm not an indentured servant. You will lose. And our countersuits are powerful. They can run, but they can't hide. I don't know if you...
So how soon could this happen? I mean, could this be the last 10 minutes we broadcast out of these studios?
Oh,
yeah. I was talking to Shelby and my lawyers earlier as they drove back from Houston, like literally 30 minutes ago, and they said it could be tonight.
Right.
I mean, here's the thought. They did their fake auction. They did their fake security raid, got mud on their face, egg on their face. So they're probably going to want to be a little more careful about it. Also, the sheriff's department, it's usually pretty reasonable or whatever. I would imagine if we don't miss the call or whatever, we'll get a call. And I'm going to reach out to them in the morning and say, hey, if you get this, just let us know. Want it to be really easy. We can show you around and, everything else. I mean, this is a husk. This is like a butterfly coming out of the cocoon here. But I always fought for it, and we never backed down about it.
Yeah.
But this is not a defeat. This is a great case of perseverance. And this is all these wars and all these battles and things we've won. And now they think if they can get the symbol of it and the name of it, of a website, somehow that legitimizes all their attempts to take us off the air over the years. And all they did with the lawfare on Trump was make him bigger. So, but it's that totalitarian instinct of who they are. So I am...
People can follow AJN live, right, on X. Where should people go in case?
Yeah, I mean, there's the Alex Jones channel on Rumble that we're going to really start promoting and pushing big time and doing streams through them. I mean, it's already big. We're going to really push it.
Push it.
There's X at Real Alex Jones, the backup at AJN Live. And then the radio stations can pick up the Alex Jones show all day long. So they're already, ready. The stations are all there. That's our little secret ace in the hole to pick it all up. And so we just flip a switch.
Because it's free to air.
Came in with the fake auction and cut the internet, and we were on and didn't miss a beat.
Yeah.
It was during your show. They shut your show down.
I was midway through my sentence. The screen went black. Yeah, it's crazy.
So. But I got on the air and you got on the air, and that's one reason I was so critical of Owen. You remember that December 10th hearing? It was 9th and 10th. The judge ruled for us at the end saying, I can't authorize a fraudulent sale. I can't be part of your fraud. Lopez would never be part of the fraud they brought him. But at the end of the day, like Pontius Pilate, he said, I'll give you what you want, and signed off on it today, which my lawyers thought. I mean, their filing is so horrible. It's all their quotes and admissions. We don't want money. We want to shut him down. This is political. Ha, ha, ha. Yeah, we rigged the,
Hey, Alex, do me a solid, brother. I'm going to this at you, this video. Hopefully you'll watch, the portion that I at you at. Do a data dump. Dump everything they've said, done, all of it. Data dump it all, bruh.
We rigged we deposed them, and they said, yeah, we rigged the auction. We don't want you to have it. That's fraud. That's criminal. But listen, the DOJ is still investigating. You think you got that killed? Think again. You wait till your little deputy AGs. Okay, we knew we were thinking way ahead of that. Thanks for showing yourself. Just a little more weight. Getting close. But the civil stuff, and you think you shut this down and magically the money goes away. No. Now that we're going to be out of the bankruptcy, all these backers can legally back us and do all this stuff. And as long as Mr. Jones never touches any of it, you can't do anything. And so you think you've won. The war just begun. You just act like Admiral Yamamoto, or you just act like Emperor Hirohito. Right after they hit Pearl Harbor, you just sit back and you just adjust your suspenders and you play with a little pee-pee, and you just keep laughing. It's so funny. Or like Santa Ana after he wiped out the Alamo. You just feel good, maybe fire up a cigar, and just keep on laughing, because I know history. I know the arc of justice, as Martin Luther King talked about, bends towards justice, and I know, and I can see it all around me. So salute the listeners and viewers and supporters. Salute the crew. And the big thing is going to be when we announce these new news sites and all this new stuff, it just everybody hits the ground running, because the info war has just begun. Alex, there's the Alex Jones Network. That's on AJN. There's a whole bunch of systems. In fact, I'm not even sure that those may be fans ones they just threw up. But we'll have a whole list of that for people. We'll have it all ready. It is ready. And so we'll trot it all out in front of you. But the biggest thing is just go to Real Alex Jones on X, go to the Alex Jones Network on Rumble, but here's another thing, band.video. All that belongs to you. We used to have radio stations and TV stations that didn't want to carry the full show, but people wanted to buy time to air my films and shows, and a lot of station owners just wanted to air it. I mean, big stations in LA, New York, you name it, commercial stations. But I was constantly signing forms to authorize legal and then calling the station. Yes. So I had lawyers write forms on Infowars.com saying all of this is free to air.
Yeah.
All this belongs to the American people and the people of the world. And it's all there. So we've been free to air, and it's been a non-exclusive license to all of you for 25, 26, 27 years. I mean, there's dozens of letters that were updated over the years, over 25 of them. Actually more than that. There's a whole stack for the lawyers. And they're digitally there. They're on the digital archive. It's all there. So you can't.
Hey, those that are watching, like and share, subscribe, and my chat is open. I put it on there. I'd like to hear from you guys, dude. Come on now. Say something.
It's like I can publish a book. I can write a book and say this is copyright, trademark free. This is a gift to the world. It belongs to you. Like publishing a song saying it's free rights to the world. Well, if I later declare bankruptcy on assets I have, you can't come back and say a thing I gave away belonged to me because it belonged to the world.
That's right.
So this is perfectly positioned. We're going to sue Bloomberg and the Everytown Group that publicly owns and runs The Onion. We're going to sue the Onion guy that's back on the news saying the one thing in my life's getting Infowars so I can wear his skin. Did you hear that a few weeks ago?
Yeah.
I mean, this is creepy. Good, dude. You are stepping into the damages now. You are stepping out of the rig court in Democrat-controlled Austin and Connecticut, and then out of the bankruptcy court that, for 3 years gave you big problems. And you're stepping into civil liability with all the things you've done. And all your statements about, look at the Onion attacking Charlie Kirk. You are, and people say, well, just move on from them. No, it's about justice. And so the shoe will be on the foot, because here's the thing. I go to work for other people, I'm like, I don't want basically anything, except I want you to fund this First Amendment Foundation, $20 million a year to sue these people. See, that's what this war is about. See, because you're messing with somebody who doesn't give a crap about money. Money to me is an engine of victory. And people buy stuff from us, they're doing that to know they're funding warriors that don't back down. So go to the AlexJonesStore.com, because again, that's another thing. I don't own that. Bigley's established, has all these other clients. That's what they do. They sell high-quality supplements, T-shirts, all of it. They've done a great job, and they have financed and run and own the Alex Jones Network. Though there's other partners about to come in. There's about a bunch of stuff about to happen. So there's the brand new phone mobile app I haven't gotten to. Oh, my God, I should have plugged that. Chase got that going.
Yeah.
Like, can we put that back on screen?
Yeah, put it on.
The actual URL if we can. If you just go to thealexjonesstore.com, you can learn about the URL. Because there's an actual URL. Here, it's on my phone. When we plug stuff like that, we probably just want to show the URL. Here, let me just do that. I always tell the crew, it
looks like it's on the App Store. So if you go on the App Store and search AJN Live.
Yeah, but there's actually a URL. I'll just pull it up.
There's URL as well. We can go to thealexjonesstore.com, support us. Hey, this might be your last chance to get something with the Infowars brand from Infowars. Say it again. AlexJonesApp.com. AlexJonesApp.com.
Yeah, we'll probably put that on screen.
Yeah, AlexJonesApp.com.
Good job reminding me of that, guys.
Get the app. Go to the AlexJonesStore.com. Follow AJN Live on X. AJN Live on X. If you don't have an X account, you got to get one. But I don't think you need one to go to AJN Live at AJN Live. X.com/AJN Live.
Yeah, the biggest thing is AlexJonesApp.com is where you go and get the app for free. So we'll just put it on screen. AlexJonesApp.com. There it is, AlexJonesApp.com. So there's going to be, and literally they've already filed. They're going to go to court and say, we own his name. He is a slave. They already said this. They said 13th Amendment does not apply to him. I think I'm so demonized, courts will go, oh, God, he peed on kids' graves. Nobody ever did. It's made up. And they're just like, we will give you his name. We will. But this is the weird judicial culture that literally still thinks CNN has viewers, but they're like literally hanging on in their own little weird bubble. And so as the sandcastles crumble into the sea very, very quickly, but I appreciate you. I appreciate everybody. But like, back to Owen, we're up here on the 10th of December. He's hugging me. Love Owen. So great. You know, we're all together.
It sells you out.
We're going to be shut down in November. He just quit and left, but he came back. We're so happy. And then he just did that whole thing. That's why it hurt my feelings, was because, you know, I probably overreacted. And I just wish Owen well. But I appreciate all you guys not abandoning ship, you know, in this fight.
Well, same with the crew, too, because we've all been under this bankruptcy, and we've all seen it from the inside. So, you know, we understand the pressure that you've been under. And, I mean, people don't understand. During the commercial breaks, Alex is like running out and meeting with lawyers and running back in. You don't see it when you watch the show. Behind the scenes, it's been chaos and high energy. And, you know, I always feel defeated at this, and then you come in and fire me up again. So,
but then we get to see people go on air and say, it's all fake. And I'm just like, you know, it's just like, man, because I don't like bragging, go, man, we were like the most battle-hardened, most victories of anybody, this whole crew. Like, we are the best, which isn't saying much, God almighty, but people don't celebrate people that are literally dying for them, man. I just, you know, I mean, a lot of you do, and you're the reason we're still on air, but this is our biggest challenge. They're coming for us to get through us to get to you. TheAlexJonesStore.com. Go there. We got a big sale. Get the best creatine private labeled out there. Means we already go private label the best. We already know it's the best. You get one free. That's all there. And AlexJonesApp.com. Love the folks at Bigley. They are such great people, launching so much. And they know they're going to get sued by these people. They're going to get run into a brick wall because I don't own that company and there's nothing going on. So this is a long fight. You know, President Trump had to pardon Nate Hughes.
Yes, they're commercials. They're commercials. Let's see. We got AlexJones.com, Alex Jones Store. Let's see if the app is here on the store. And before I jump to the next video, here we go. Get the app, everybody. Boom. Get 20% off. AGN Live Chase. Let's see if they have a share that I can put on this. Got One America Podcasts and AGN Live News. Yeah, that's the new app, huh? It's pretty neat. Alright, so I will hold that for later. Hold that for later. Let's see if there's any updates on the Infowars. We got A live feed. Democrats pledge to hold America hostage with government shutdown until Trump accepts full benefits, free health care for all illegal aliens, invaders, plus official Charlie Kirk assassination narrative collapses, triggering firestorm in Mega Base. Mega Base. Right.
One bit.
Oh, snaps.
And we find all this opposition.
Because you old, you dying, so it's time for you to ruin America. Free speech alert. The Democrat Party is a federal court of Houston attempting to shut down Infowars today. Rob Dew breaks down the latest court filings in defense of free speech against the deep state. Now, we heard what Alex had to say. Let's see what this dude's got to say.
Friday, the Democrat Party law firms filed an emergency hearing. They had to have an emergency hearing this week. It had to happen. And so they filed it on Friday. It was supposed to be for this coming Friday, which is in a couple days, but it got moved to Wednesday at 1 p.m. And you can see the tweet there from Alex on X. Red alert, Democrats want to shut down Infowars today in Houston federal court at 1 p.m. There's the first 4 pages of the response that his crack lawyer team put together in just a day and a half. The 27-page response. But if you go to the this article on Infowars, Red alert, the Democrats want to shut down Infowars today in federal court at 1 p.m. It was just posted at 11:07. There's 2 different scribd links. There's one to just the 27-page response, and then another one to the full 377-page response that also includes, if you get an overhead shot of this right here, our Supreme Court petition. So, which normally this is bound in a nice book, and they actually bind it in leather. It's leather bound, and this goes to the Supreme Court. But you can actually go in and read all the arguments they make for the Supreme Court. So that's in both of that's in the second scribd link, which is in the article. The first one is only 27 pages. So basically, in our response, the court must assess the true interest being benefit by the questioned activity. This is the activity of we're having fake auctions that aren't really auctions. They're just kind of these sealed bid processes, and we're going to give it to the person who doesn't have the highest bid, admittedly. I mean, they admitted it on TV. But then you have to count in the concessions, what I believe the Onion CEO said, to determine whether the creditors is seeking to benefit itself in some way other than as a creditor acting on its claim. And it's a dual purpose. Here the determination is simple. The creditors, the plaintiffs, are seeking a political gun control victory. This is on page 23, by the way, if you want to follow along in your book, which plaintiffs define as the destruction of the Alex Jones brand of Infowars. This is the ulterior motive that is not permitted in the process of bankruptcy, whether reorganization or liquidation. At both stages, the plaintiffs acted in bad faith on their ulterior motive. This conduct is not an allowed motive of a creditor.
Dude, those are court filings. That's pretty cool. It actually says the plaintiffs are seeking potential gun control victory. Alex Jones brand of Infowars. This is the unfair motive. Wow,
it is a motive of a political view bent on destruction of an opposed political belief. This is lawfare. This is what we're discussing right now is lawfare. There's a tweet Alex put out just a little bit ago. Red alert. The Democrats want to shut down Infowars today in Houston federal court at 1 p.m. Read Alex Jones's legal team's exclusive filing that proves the deep state/Democrat Party's conspiracy to shut down Infowars with unprecedented lawfare, which will set an insanely dangerous precedent for the free press. There's 4 screenshots of the first 4 pages of the filing and then a full link to the scribd for the full 27 pages. There's a 27-page filing, and then we're putting up a 300-page filing, which has all the evidentiary listings and court cases and everything applicable through that, all the exhibits, essentially. So it's a total of 377 pages. And so I do want to go over that. We have the article on Infowars, Red Alert, the Democrats want to shut down Infowars today in federal court at 1 p.m. So you can go to Infowars, you can go to @RealAlexJones, look at the script link, the script link's in there. That takes you to this. Response to the Sandy Hook family's emergency joint motion for entry of an order confirming that FSS assets are not subject to automatic stay as property of the Alexander E. Jones Chapter 7 estate. And what this stems from is a couple, there was a hearing in February, and then there was a hearing in June. And the plaintiffs kept asking the judge to remove the stay. And the stay is basically keeping everything as it is now, keeping it rolling forward until, you know, an appeal could happen or there's some final resolution in this case. And the Sandy Hook families have filed, well, not the families, the law firms of the families have filed this motion for an emergency hearing. And it was supposed to be Friday, then all of a sudden it's Monday. So it literally gave Alex's legal team a day and a half to put this together. They put together a 27-page preliminary response with another 350 pages of exhibits. So it's a lot to go through. I'm going to go through some of the parts for the first, 15, 20 pages. First, the court should know that the oral argument took place before the Third Court of Appeals in Austin in May 2025. The petition of writ has been filed with the United States Supreme Court in Connecticut. So basically, that's the first thing his legal team is saying. There's an appeal, and then there's also putting this case in front of the Supreme Court through the Connecticut case. And if these go through, well, then and they rule in Jones's favor, well, then there's no more case for these guys to get money. So they're trying to, I guess, have a state receiver come in and take over and circumvent the federal appeals court. That's basically what's going on. The plaintiffs have known these issues literally for months and waited till 3:35 p.m. Friday, September 26th to file their emergency motion, and which first set the hearing for October 3rd, and now it's reset for Wednesday, October 1st, giving the parties literally 1.5 business days to respond. In addition, this is not an emergency. This is a denial of due process. So right there within the second page, talking about a denial of due process. Substantially, the Jones parties are being charitable. We would say the plaintiff's motion borders on fraudulent. That's pretty hardcore if you ever read legal documents. In truth, it so badly misstates the record in this court and other courts that it borders between truth and pre-verification is nowhere in sight. The plaintiffs have forgotten this inconvenient fact because the June 5th hearing is not referred to a single time in their motion. So what they want to do, they claim that the February 25th hearing of the supplemental order is null and void, and they cite a transcript from February 5th 11 times in their argument. And this is a lot. If you haven't been digging through the court documents and reading everything that's out there, you can go to Court Lister and find all this stuff. You can find, you can actually listen into the case today at 1 p.m. You can call in and just listen. So I'm sure there'll be a lot of left-leaning journalists in there today, just waiting for the judge to basically say, all right, I'm washing my hands of this, and it's all up to the state court, which I don't think he's going to do. But we'll find out.
Yeah, if the judge did do something like that, dude, I'd have to say it's a bitch-ass judge. No balls with that, dude. Shameful. Shameful. Stick with your guns, court people. If it was us, you would laugh at us.
And so there's a June 5th. There's the February court hearing and the June 5th court hearing. And the June 5th, he clarifies. They actually have a transcript from it. I got to get this close. I read in your pleadings, I went back and listened, and I'll take the blame for not being incredibly as precise as I should have been. You got to really get into this. For matters that are currently pending, the order was pending an appeal at the time, so I couldn't revoke one way or the other, right? Once bankruptcy, once an appeal is filed, the court loses jurisdiction over that. So I haven't revoked anything. I didn't have the authority to do it anyway, but to me, putting up another auction process would be incredibly complicated. So that was when
Him bitching out.
Jones's lawyers came back and said, hey, what about another auction? And he didn't want to do another auction because the first auction was a miserable failure. It was supposed to be an open bidding process. Then that turned into closed bids. And then that turned into this weird formula that they came up with to give it to the Onion, who had a lower bid, a lower cash bid, which they admitted to on Good Morning America, that their bid was lower in cash, but they had these other considerations, which were based on the judgments that they hadn't even received yet.
Yeah.
So it's like, we have a time machine. We're going to get these judgments over here and bring them over here, and then we're going to use that as part of the of our bid. So at the February 5th hearing, the plaintiffs and trustees presented a settlement which involved, in part, allowing over $400 million of claims of 3 other persons that have not even tried a case. So they've created some deals going on where they're like, hey, we're going to bring in other people who have filed a claim or a case against Jones, but those cases haven't even gone before a court yet. Even though the court clearly recognized this again in June on the record that it could not have done so because of the pending appeal, because there's a state appeal going on for the Texas case right now in the appeals court here in Travis County. Plaintiff's response to this is ignore it like an ostrich. So the court could not nullify the September order, did not nullify the September order, and can neither interpret it as a nullified. Knowing these problems and a last-ditch effort in the 2 pages they raise improperly without proper evidence and seek the court to do so now. Is in no conceivable way. No, they brought me I don't know if that's going to help. They brought me a magnifying glass. Yeah, I'm pretty blind. In no conceivable way, the plaintiffs have established their entitlement to Rule 60. Which, you know, if you're in the legal world, you understand what Rule 60 is. I'm not even going to get into it at this point. Perhaps the most troubling and radically inconsistent positions of the plaintiffs have taken before the Texas state courts and stark contrast to what they're advising this court. So in what it boils down to is they've made filings where they're not really interested in the amount of money they can get. They just want to shut Jones down. They want to shut Alex Jones down. That's been their position. So I want to I'm actually going to jump to page 21. This is page 21 of 27, and it's under Section 3. The basis for Jones and FSS new request for an order providing for a public sale of the FSS assets by cash only, sealed bid only, and sold to the highest cash bidder. The Connecticut plaintiffs are not interested in achieving a sale of SSS assets to the highest value, but only a sale that results in the destruction of Alex Jones' brand, Infowars, and that's regarding to the Onion attempted purchase. The Connecticut and Texas plaintiffs and the Onion have announced to the trial courts, to the media, and to this bankruptcy court through their conduct and their frequent statements that their true motive is not to obtain the highest value for the assets so that the just debt may be repaid, but to destroy the value of the debtor and his assets and to obtain non-dischargeable debt that will prevent Alex Jones from exercising his freedom of press and free speech rights.
I don't know about you, man, but to quote a Democrat, that's against our democracy. Our democracy, everybody.
This court is the gatekeeper on issues of ulterior motives in bad faith. A creditor may not cast his vote for an ulterior purpose and expect to have it counted. Ulterior motives have been held to include pure malice, strikes, and blackmail, and the purpose to destroy an enterprise in order to advance the interest of a competing business. So, and what is the competing business? The competing business is the Democratic Party talking points that are basically, hey, Trump's shutting down the government because he doesn't care about people when they want to give health care to illegals. And we're saying, no, he's gonna shut down the government because the Democrats are forcing his hand.
That's right.
And now he could do a whole lot of other things. He could do a lot of firings now and a lot of stuff that he couldn't do before now that there is a government shutdown. The destruction of Infowars brand and Alex Jones' ability to exercise his freedom of the press and freedom of speech is abusive ulterior motive. Ulterior motives which can constitute bad faith include pure malice, strikes, blackmail, and the destruction of an entity in order to advance the interests of a competing business. And like I said, the competing business is essentially the entire Democrat Party platform. And they've been after Jones since this organization and the people watching and the guests defeated Hillary Clinton back in 2016. And that's where we're at.
Yeah, shameful shit is what it is.
So at 1 p.m. today, you can tune in to see if justice will prevail or if people acting in bad faith prevail. Because in my opinion, that's what they're acting in, is bad faith. And if you read these documents prepared by Alex Jones's legal team, which finally, he's got a crack legal team. And in 1.5 days, they pulled out, these 27 pages, which are biting. I mean, it's a biting indictment of what the Democrat Party law firms are trying to do. And you could say, oh, they're not Democrat Party law firms. Oh, no. Well, one of the law firms that just signed on to the case.
Well, regardless of how you think about it, dude, it's going to be a sad day, dude, when if they wind up shutting Infowars down. And I get it. He's got a whole nother network that he's going to be setting up that he won't be in charge of. I would say his son should have be in charge of it. I think that would be the best thing. But this right here, before I jump, because he's live right now on the network, so they haven't got him just yet. So 9 times out of 10, they're probably going to get him in the morning. But, all right, so this dude, these people right here in the background are the Sandy Hook family. Okay, let me move this over here. This dude right here is one of the fathers of Sandy Hook. Now, mind you, this was in 2008. And the reason this clip was posted in for a 23-second video is this guy's kid just, was taken out. You know what I'm saying? And this is how he responds to his kid being taken out. And, it's very, very disgusting, to be honest with you. It's very sick.
Statement looks like the family is there and they're getting ready to make
look at that. Look at that, dude. Look at that wonderful freaking smile that he's got going on right now. Look at that. He's giggling. He's smiling. His kid just died and he's smiling. And this is one of the people that's going after Alex Jones and Infowars. This is one of them. And Alex was the first one they went after when they kicked him off all the platforms. When it was, X was Twitter and Facebook and YouTube. And everybody kicked him off. And then we wound up getting the site called Getter. And that one fell short. And then a couple years down the road, we got Trump's site, Truth Social. And then a little while later after that, we got X. And Elon didn't want to put Alex on because he's a baby killer. He celebrated baby killers. And then he put him on because he realized he was wrong and he was in the wrong. So he put him on. But look at this smile, man. Look at that. This is a father. You can't see it, but I'm circling his head. That is a father of one of the kids that were taken out. Now get ready. Here's the next clip right here. Mind you, this dude right here, man, he got snake eyes, dude. He got snake eyes. I don't care if people sit there and say, oh, that's how he emotionally sets himself because, nah, fuck that, dude. If my kid had died, anything like that, dude, I would have been raging. I'd have been hitting people. I'd have beat the hell out of teachers and security at the school, mainly because I'd have been telling them dead center, dead to rights. Why aren't you treating our schools like the president's kid, Barron Trump, or Barack Obama's, or President Bush, or Clinton's daughter, Chelsea, when she went to school when they were president? They had guns on the premises to protect the children. That's what we need. But let's get ready. Let's get ready. We're going to watch this clown right here, this jackass, get into character. All right? He's a fucking actor, this dude right here. He's going to get into character and start looking like he's going to cry.
So we'll listen up.
All right, man. You're going to start. Now get into character. Start doing some breathing exercises.
So my name's Robbie Parker.
You a fake ass. I can't say it. I can't say it. I'm gonna have to let Uncle Ruckus say it. Oh wait. We're gonna rewind it a little. Let's get back over here. It's not gonna take that long.
So my name's Robbie Parker.
Go off and deliberate on.
Guilty! That nigga is guilty!
Sir, settle down. You have to go deliberate.
I don't need to deliberate. Hang that nigga now. I got the rope right here.
Looks like the family is there, and they're getting ready to come to the.
I'm blind,
We'll
excuse me.
listen up.
But oh boy, had another thing coming.
The jury will now go off and deliberate on.
Guilty! That nigga is guilty! Guilty! That nigga is guilty!
My name's Robbie Parker.
Guilty! That nigga is guilty! That nigga is guilty!
Sir, settle down. You have to go deliberate.
I don't need.
Yeah, Uncle Ruckus, man, you gotta love him, dude. You gotta love him. All right, so like I said, we're gonna check out. Infowars is live right now, so let's see what they're talking about.
The increased healthcare cost. No, so it's going to cost more money not to give illegals free healthcare?
Are they actually live, or is just a reclip, man? This should be emergency broadcast.
You know, we have a 2-minute clip of Nancy Pelosi, but I don't even know if it's worth it. Let's go. This is Ted Cruz talking about Antifa isn't organic. It's paid for, something we've said for years ad nauseum. You know, Kamala Harris was bailing these people out of jail during the riots. They're trying to claim like she wasn't. Now it's different. Now it's like, oh, I wasn't doing that. Well, here's the tweet with the number. Okay, Kamala. All right, let's go to clip 33, and then I want to go to this long report. We'll come back, and I'll introduce it. Here we go.
But I'll tell you this, Antifa is a terrorist organization. They have been a terrorist organization for years. I have been calling on the Trump administration, the first Trump administration, to designate them as a terrorist organization. President Trump has now done so, and I appreciate that. It's the right thing to do. And here's the critical piece. Antifa doesn't rise up organically. It is paid for, and here's what we must do. Follow the money.
Yeah.
How much of Antifa is paid for by Qatar? How much of it is paid for by Iran? How much of it is paid for by communist China? And how much of it is paid for by left-wing billionaires like George Soros and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, who also are massive donors to Democrats? Part of the reason why the Biden administration and every Democrat in Congress turns a blind eye to the violence and terrorism of Antifa is the same people writing the checks are writing the checks and funding their campaigns. And
how much was paid?
Yeah, I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why Antifa always got away with everything. Because they work for the Democrat Party. Just like how the Democrat Party set up the KKK, the Ku Klux Klan, the hanging of the black folk. It was the Democrats.
By USAID grants. I mean, millions and millions and millions of dollars. That's how you get these people out there. the ringleaders definitely get paid a lot. And then you got the foot soldiers that are, disgruntled kids who don't want to get a job, or skaters. They have parents who are taking care of them, so they don't have to like really go out and earn a living. So they're able to spend their time bitching about the country. Somebody comes along and says, "Hey, you guys want to go riot?" I'm like, yeah, let's go riot. And they think it's cool to riot and hit people with skateboards. But they don't want to do anything. They don't want to do anything to help the country. They're not going to join the armed services, although some of them have. I mean, now we're starting to find, seems like some Antifa, some commies are in there, but Hegseth's going to bunch around. There's our old Alien Workshop skateboards. That's a relic from a far gone day. I've been in this building since I think they moved in here. It was before I got here, December of 2008. I showed up in February of 2009.
Oh, man.
So it's been a long run, which may or may not end today. We got a federal court hearing today in federal bankruptcy court in Houston. Judge Lopez will be hearing some arguments from both sides. So we went over the 27-page document, which you can find on Alex's X or on Infowars under the headline "Red Alert: The Democrats want to shut down."
Well, this is quite a moment for us here.
Court at 1 p.m. Because that's what they want to do. They want to control, and that's what these groups, Microsoft and Google and Oracle and Palantir, all want to set up control grid systems. Because they have read the plans. They've read Agenda 2030. They've read Agenda 21. They've read the Club of Rome documents. And it's not about having people who are informed and making decisions and running their own lives. No, it's about command and control. So when people put out their Twitter videos like, check out this Palantir ad, but it's not really a Palantir ad, but it's showing you what these types of organizations are going to be doing to you in the future. So this is a report put out by Alex last night, and then we'll come back. Here it is.
In the last 24 hours, a video went super viral. Reportedly a Palantir ad. Well, this is quite a moment for us here. What the company's going to do with the social credit score. The big question was, is this a real Palantir ad? Well, we found out. But first, here's a content creator on TikTok who believed it was real and gave his take on it.
There is this new Palantir commercial ad that just came out that you guys need to check out. You guys do remember who Palantir is, right? The new data integration company that's helping the Department of Defense, the IRS, the DOD, DOGE, and all these, and ICE, the people's handling immigration. But check this thing out, y'all. This is crazy.
Good morning, citizens. Your overnight account balances have been updated. Time to start a productive day. Final notice, your account balance is below 500. You need 50 credits by the end of the day to avoid automatic eviction. If you have missed work due to illness, you must provide a doctor's note to reclaim your credits.
Mark of the beast!
Any extra credits? Please.
See, citizen, you still get a car. You still
Tensions are high today, with more people planning to join the Citizens Against Digital Control protest. Remember, the government
I'll be with that
at all times. Resisting is not worth the consequences. All of their newest social credit systems are designed to keep you and your families safe and efficient.
Authorities seized a record balance of an individual's credits, citing excessive hoarding.
Traffic violation detected. 7 miles per hour over the limit. 75 credits have been automatically deducted.
You're fucking kidding me.
Safety is our priority.
Yep, you got the flu. Your blood work shows a significant iron deficiency. I recommend incorporating more red meat into your diet.
Mr. Jones, your taxes were not filed and have been automatically deducted. Your medical license has been revoked.
Look, he prescribes red meat. And the social credit system goes, oh, wait a minute. The little AI computers that are listening to everything are going, whoa. He's prescribing red meat to this girl? No. We can't have that. Oh, wait, we found your taxes aren't done right. Oh, you put an extension? Oh, sorry, we don't have that extension. Sorry, we're gonna have to send in the feds to take you away. re-educate you. All right, let's continue.
Filed an extension.
She's not going to get the meat.
Purchase denied.
Hey, man. I just looked on YouTube, dude. They actually got Palantir ads here, dude.
Monthly red meat allowance exceeded. Try mealworms instead.
Ah, eat the bugs.
Bug burgers.
Yeah, yeah. Spicy meatballs.
Can you guys please let me through?
Ah, they're gonna beat your ass.
Gathering detected. Participants' access to financial services has been suspended.
And look, because she stopped there, she's probably going to get put in the dragnet.
Due to the speeding infraction, your car will be immobilized for 3 days.
Oh, that's fucked up.
Take your surveillance policies and rot in hell!
Over 50 bonus credits.
Yeah.
There's always a guy in a hoodie.
This content exceeds your current social credit tier. May we suggest citizen responsibility? Sarah, open the door. You have been identified by the authorities. Don't resist. Don't resist. Don't resist.
That's right. Your eviction notice has come out.
You're going to jail, girl.
But I'm not the guardian of Palantir. I'm not the attack dog for Palantir. I started seeing corporate media, New York Times, Washington Post, all these CIA-backed groups, about 2 years ago, start going, you know what, America? There is a social credit score. There is a mark of the beast. There is this system of social credit score, and it's Palantir. I'm like, wow, 15 years ago, Alexa listened to us in our houses, and you got Sentinel and the federal government AI, and you've got really the three big companies, Microsoft, and then Jeff Bezos' Amazon, and Larry Ellison's.
Like, if you got into fights, Alexa would record the fights. And then when the cops realized you had Alexa in your house, they would use the Alexa. And they would have to get a warrant, I'm gathering. But, just in case, they might not have to. But Alexa would record anything you said or did.
Behavior. Because we're constantly recording, watching and recording everything that's going on. Citizens will be on their best behavior because we're constantly recording.
You see that guy right there? Yeah. See, if I ever saw him, I'd probably smack him in the face.
And reporting everything that's going on.
And he's getting really the huge contracts. So all the attacks on Palantir is because Palantir is trying to muscle in to the trough and stick its nose into that and be used to carry out Trump's agenda. Just like the Democrats in Denver recently just turned off the federal license plate rating system
Hi, Daddy.
put in decades ago with grants because it was being used by ICE to find illegal aliens. So people need to know why you know about Palantir, but don't know about Oracle, don't know about Microsoft, don't know about Google, don't know about Amazon, all of it. I want you to be aware of it all. It's like saying only Israel can be corrupt. I cover Israeli corruption all day. Communist China, the drug cartels, Larry Fink, BlackRock, Big Pharma. I want to cover all the predatory groups, not just focus on one. And people say that's a distraction. No, they're involved in the distraction. Meanwhile, as I told you many years ago, it's now official. Bill Gates at the UN level through international standardization, just like he's in charge of vaccines worldwide and your medical care, has now come out with the official UN report for the central bank digital currency and the standardized cashless society and the digital ID to get online.
Yeah.
It will then be your personal ID. Bill Gates has already been given the keys to the digital kingdom. It ain't coming with Palantir, it's already here. Australia, the UK, Canada, it's all going in right now to track and control everything you do. And Keir Starmer says, oh, it's to stop the boat migrants that George Soros and the UN are funding that the Navy can grab and ship back. So they use the replacement migration invasion they've run as the pretext to sell us on the control grid, and really it's to put in place everything you just saw that is in the fake Palantir ad. Palantir didn't create that. A PR firm whose symbol is a Trojan horse, how perfect for all of this, They created it, jumping on the hype. If I wanted hundreds of millions of views a day, I'd talk Palantir, Palantir, Palantir. If I wanted hundreds of millions of views a day, I would just talk about Israel killing Charlie Kirk.
Yeah.
If Israel killed Charlie Kirk, I'll go there. But because the system is discredited, because nobody believes establishment corporate media, which is good, remember I pioneered exposing that, now the system knows how to pose as the alternative, as the outsider, as the resistance, and then they inject establishment messages through that. That's what's happened. So I'm not telling you what to think. I'm not going over each story. I'm simply saying, realize when you see people claiming they're anti-establishment, they had a particular narrative that first came from corporate media, you know there's a setup. All of this tech is oppressive. All of it is a Trojan horse. All of it is dehumanizing. All of it, the international standardization, is meant to go to direct brain-chip interface with AI. That's what's happening. That's the reality. And it's not being done from a perspective of empowering us, but a perspective of ending humanity as we know it. As you all know, Harari and others have said at the World Economic Forum, the future's not human. Well, I know the future's human, and I'm here to defend the human future, and that means I expose all points of the compass. So this was a fake Palantir ad, but everything you see in that ad has been in place for at least 9 years in Communist China. It's not a futuristic nightmare vision or warning. It's telling you what's already happened in the past. So what you see here is not some futuristic vision of Palantir. It's what's already currently happening, deployed by big tech, and now rolling out via stealth in the West, via Keir Starmer and others. And that, my friends, is the reality. That's why you have to have a debate and a discussion about the mark of the beast, about the Antichrist system, and raise awareness of that so that the public gets engaged in the debate, so we take control of the future and don't let the technocrats manipulate us. That's the reality, that's the facts, and that's what we're currently dealing with. Not some futuristic 1984 vision, but a technocracy that's been here for a long time. Be aware, get engaged, get informed, and use your power now, because humanity, with the Holy Spirit behind us, is unstoppable. Thank you so much for your support.
All right, that was Alex.
Yeah.
Jones. We go now live to the White House with J.D. Vance. Carolyn Levitt just made a statement about Trump.
Yeah, that's earlier. I don't think this is actually live. I think it's just repeating today's Alex Jones. But I did find what does Palantir actually do? It's a commercial.
When today's rich and famous tech companies talk about what they do, they usually say something like, "We are connecting the world." And by that they mean we are creating a sexualized Farmville that is as addictive as opioids. So when I learned that last year's best performing stock by growth was a Silicon Valley unicorn by the name of Palantir, I was pretty sure I knew what they were up to. Probably they made a streaming service called Boo Boo, a housing rental app called Housely, or earbuds called Doinkers or whatever. But just to be sure, I looked them up, at which point it became clear that these cats are a little different from the techies who typically cross my desk.
We built this kill chain, the digital kill chain. How do you defend your country and kill your enemies? Our product is used on occasion to kill people.
Folks. First, sorry, man. I couldn't trust that dude. That dude reminds me of not Frasier, the Seinfeld guy, dude, that just shakes his head like, whoa,
I have wet my pants. Second, what? As always, I began my investigation on Bing.com, which I used to type in Google.com, which I used to search for Palantir.com. A quick spin through their site will tell you that Palantir is all about AI-powered automation for every decision and delivering mission-critical outcomes for the West's most powerful institutions. Sentences that boldly ask the question, what if Genghis Khan and Ronald Reagan had a baby who wrote mind-numbingly boring marketing copy? However, I did come across one thing in my research that even I can wrap my noggin around. Whatever Palantir does, It makes them a lot of money.
Palantir stock is booming, absolutely skyrocketing.
Palantir has been a standout this week, surging 22%.
Looks like it was going down.
Right now, there is no comparable company.
I'm here bravely outside of the offices of Palantir. Their stock rocketed up 340% in 2024, peaking this winter to give them a valuation of over $250 billion. And although their stock price has dipped since then, they remain right up there with the likes of AT&T, IBM, and those hunks over at Cisco. But I couldn't let the money distract me. Not now. If I was to truly understand Palantir, I was going to have to take more drastic measures. Like calling people who actually know what they're talking about.
Can you answer that question for me here and now? What exactly does Palantir do?
I will say two things. The fact that you're asking that question goes to the heart of the company and the confusion over it, and also the mystique of it. Number two is I will tell you what they do. They want to win Defense Department contracts, commercial contracts as well, but I think they have their eye at the prize.
Sharon Weinberger is the Wall Street Journal's national security editor, and much like me, she's been covering the U.S. defense industry for over 20 years.
They got their start going back to 2003. In trying to come up with a data analytics platform. We're in the middle of the war on terror. We're involved in operations in Afghanistan. We're involved in operations in Iraq. And what is our number one problem there at the time? It's insurgency. It's roadside bombs, IEDs that were killing U.S. and allied soldiers and infantry on the ground at a really alarming rate. So Palantir came in and said, look, we can take all of this information that you're collecting, and the Defense Department collects a whole lot on the battlefield, and integrate it in a database and help you spot bad actors, spot terrorists. That is what they pitched themselves as doing when they were first sort of coming on the scene in 2003, 2004, and really for the first decade plus of its existence. What they've expanded to today is something much bigger, in some ways more interesting, and in some ways kind of posits them to be more successful, which is they are a problem solver for the Department of Defense. You have a problem, we will solve it.
All right, so here's the deal. Palantir is a data analytics software company who got its start during the war on terror and today has big ambitions to be the U.S. Department of Defense's go-to problem solver.
The idea of a Silicon Valley company saying we kill things, we kill people, like, you know, that we're interested in serving the Department of Defense and the Department of Defense wages war. That was simply unprecedented back in 2003. It was what made them unique. People hadn't seen it, and that they were going to compete with companies that had been around for decades and dominated the market.
The companies Sharon's talking about here are commonly known as the big defense primes. Places like Lockheed Martin, Boeing, Northrop Grumman, and Raytheon. The Department of Defense gives these chillers huge contracts to make fighter jets and stuff.
One of the things that these new companies like Palantir are kind of helping to disrupt, which is probably good, is the system of prime contracting and defense contracting. We have a few big contractors that have these giant contracts, and they have cost overruns. One reason the Pentagon's budget is so big.
Margaret O'Mara is a historian and professor who studies the modern history of American politics and business and how they overlap.
And this is something that policymakers have been pushing back against for decades and trying to rectify. So yeah, having more companies in the ecosystem, that's probably really good.
Hey everybody, just popping in here to say happy birthday to Jeremy J. Watkins. Jeremy is a man whose information I bought from a third-party data broker. I happen to enjoy collecting people's data and presenting it around my house. Now, if anybody wants to send Jeremy a gift in person, he lives on 28 Stowe Avenue in Huntingburg, Indiana, and he recently searched for cheap fleece pullovers and hemorrhoid ointment. And if you don't know how I was able to scrounge up all that data on Big J here, then I suggest you look up something called Incogni. Incogni is an online service that ensures your personal information stays off data broker and people searching sites. Wanted spam emails, all in a new group of companies who's in my guest bathroom.
Yeah, I'm not interested in advertising his show. It's interesting, but you know, I don't like watching those commercials.
Then check out Incogni. Palantir is at the front of a new group of companies who say they are going to disrupt the old, slow, bloated defense primes with their new, efficient, innovative, user-friendly Silicon Valley style. Because you know, you either die making boring old fighter jets, or you live long enough to see someone come along with their own swarm of autonomous attack drones.
They've made a ton of really senior hires from US government agencies, and also a number of really senior Palantir executives have been appointed by Trump to senior government positions.
Palantir has been hiring well from, I guess, the pool of people that know how the government system works.
Tabby Kinder is the Financial Times West Coast finance editor, and Cynthia O'Murku is an investigative reporter for the FT. Together they wrote a piece about how successful Palantir has been at landing government contracts, pointing out that the company has done quite a good job of cultivating, shall we say, intimate, toe-tickling relationships with governments.
Palantir has been built on people from government. They are obviously informed. They're people that work on these really crucial missions and in the armed forces and all those sorts of places where Palantir has traditionally sold its business.
And boy, have these boys been selling some business. Palantir has landed over $1.3 billion in Department of Defense contracts since 2009. This is for stuff like the Army's Vantage Data Analytics platform, this James Bond-style AI satellite computer suitcase, an AI-powered drone system called Project Maven, and Titan, the Army's first AI-defined vehicle, which promises to do things like reduce sensor-to-shooter timelines, reduce soldier workflow burdens and cognitive load, and enable long-range precision fire for the modern battle space.
Oh shit, man.
Not only goes vroom vroom and pew pew, but also beep boop beep.
Beep boop bop.
Scary shit here, folks. But Palantir's government contracts extend well beyond the military. During the COVID-19 pandemic, the U.S. contracted Palantir to track outbreak data and set up a system to distribute vaccines. More controversially, Palantir reportedly helped Immigration and Customs Enforcement with all sorts of stuff, including a surveillance system to plan and organize workplace raids on an original contract worth as much as $127 million. During the 2010s, the New Orleans Police Department ran a secretive partnership with Palantir to test predictive policing technology, which could have been named Minority Report if we had any taste. Around the world, Palantir's tech is being used by the Ukrainian military, by the Israeli military for, quote, war-related missions, and by the British government to overhaul the technology behind the NHS, England's state-run health service, which oversees one of the biggest repositories of individual patient data in the world.
So in the UK, it became quite a controversial, set of contracts that were implemented. The UK government had opened itself up with open arms, or welcomed Palantir with open arms, whereas civil liberty groups and groups with privacy concerns were a lot more skeptical. I think there's been a lot of concern around Palantir and what it really means for them to provide these services, and especially privacy advocates have been very concerned about its offerings, and Palantir has pushed against a lot of this concern. But I think it is about transparency and how much access can you get and what can you do behind the scenes that another company cannot, and that is being done outside the purview of the public.
And even with all of this government work lined up, Palantir has still managed to girl boss its way into an impressive book of commercial business. Banks and government regulators use stuff like Palantir's anti-money laundering and customer data tracking products. BP has been a longtime partner, using Palantir's software to support its digital transformation program. Palantir's chief technology officer tweeted last year that the company's AI clients include United Airlines, Lowe's, General Mills, and Do Not Sleep on Tampa General Hospital. By Jove, they've even got their paws in big pickleball. Neighbors, if you think pickleball paddles are loud, just wait till you hear motherfucking Titan rolling down your street. It's the Army's first AI-defined vehicle, folks. Long-range, precision.
I gotta say, that does look pretty cool.
Battle space. Overall, Palantir's commercial revenue in the United States jumped by 54% last year.
Wow,
That momentum
702.
pivot from data surveillance in their early years to AI products
1.20
today.
billion.
Who originally created this sprawling Palantir beast are none other than Peter Thiel and this guy, who looks like if Taika Waititi got electrocuted. His name is Alex Karp. Though Thiel tends to stay in the
That guy looks like a pedo.
sassy little mystery
Alex Karp.
Karp Karp is one of those modern tech CEOs who says a bunch of crazy shit to feverish crowds of employees and retail investors that he calls Palantirians, leading them like mother flippin' Caesar Augustus.
It's definitely been in this kind of meme stock Reddit retail army category for a while. The subreddit for Palantir traders is, I think it's about 100,000 people now. I mean, they refer to Alex Karp, the chief executive, as Daddy Karp. He's really responded to that by saying kind of increasingly, I'm trying to find a polite way to say this, just increasingly kind of out there things.
Oh, shame.
It's always dangerous to start calling rich guys daddy.
Yeah.
You never know what they're going to feel emboldened to say next.
Me as a front man offending half of America.
I don't think in win-lose. I think in domination.
Almost nothing makes a human happier than taking the lines of cocaine away from these short sellers.
I love the idea of getting a drone and having light fentanyl-laced urine spraying on analysts who tried to screw us.
Oh, where are you analysts, man? He just straight up said that he would love to do that. Now, have any of the analysts that actually gone to analyze his place, are they even alive? Are they alive? My goodness.
Now, despite whatever thoughts you have on good old American Fent P, Karp is attributed to yes, he partnered with Peter Thiel, the notorious far-right libertarian who backed Trump's 2016 campaign and bankrolled J.D. Vance's political career to build a data surveillance company for hunting down terrorists, all stuff that might be easy to generalize as conservative. But then again, he backed Kamala Harris during the latest presidential
this dude's a punk.
Democrats. He likes to go trail running and loves Denver. All stuff that might be easy to generalize.
Check his hard drives, man. He's got kids in his basement.
We got a good type of guy on our hands.
Karp is someone who comes from a kind of left-wing background. Peter Thiel, who's the founder and really the person behind Palantir, is famous in the Valley for being a very outspoken conservative or a techno-libertarian. They have these really interesting, strange bedfellows in terms of leadership, but I think they have something in common with the old style Valley, of the Valley of the Cold War era, in that there's this understanding that there is a partnership that's necessary between private industry and the defense establishment in order to get the best tech in the hands of the U.S. government. And it's waxed and waned, but the business of war has always been Silicon Valley's business to some degree.
The relationship that Alex Karp and Palantir are pushing for between the tech industry and the Department of Defense isn't so much a new status quo as it is a fresh version of an old one. Karp is very open about being a fan of the old school tech industry, one where Lockheed Missiles in Space was the largest employer in Silicon Valley through the 1980s, one where the Department of Defense built the original internet, one where Oppenheimer's Manhattan Project brought together the finest scientific and engineering minds in the U.S. to collaborate with the government. In his new book, which I read on the subway and was then immediately hit on by a very forward attack drone, Alex Karp argues that the tech industry has lost the last few decades, focusing on consumer products that essentially abandon any serious attempt to advance society. He writes that the software industry should rebuild its relationship with the govt, and while the blending of business and national purpose makes many uneasy, it is now the job of Silicon Valley to defend the West. And it's here that Karp has differentiated himself from his 21st century tech contemporaries.
Shit's going into RoboCop.
Patriotism and making tech products for killing. But his peers are starting to follow suit.
The Valley has always had these ties with Washington, D.C., but often has been very low-key about it and coy about it and pretended that, we don't do anything with those people over there. They're like, we don't care about politics. It matters nothing to our business. We're a free market miracle. And in the background, they're like, not this tax break. I'm interested now. It's just more overt. And now I think there's a more broader public consciousness of like, oh, wait a minute. People like Peter Thiel and Elon Musk, they get a lot of federal contracts.
Now, despite Karp and Palantir's very real momentum, it doesn't mean that they are that close to revolutionizing the defense industry and unseating those old defense primes.
They have yet to prove that they can build a major weapons system better than a Lockheed Martin, Boeing, or Raytheon. They may have their own views on that, but when I look across at what's being used in Ukraine on a mass scale, that is not yet the Palantirs or Andurils of the world. Doesn't mean they won't do it, but they have yet to prove they can.
Nonetheless, It is possible that Palantir will be the future, and if they are, then the approach that they have taken to rise to prominence. Well, this would all mean an entirely new paradigm for how American defense companies operate.
You don't typically see the heads of Lockheed Martin or Raytheon giving opinions about how the world should be ordered. Lockheed Martin is not trying to appeal to the day traders or to the meme stocks or to any of that. Palantir they're kind of trying to sell themselves to the nation writ large. I think that is part of what is new in this era, is Silicon Valley companies saying working with the Pentagon is not a dirty business. It helps national defense. These are good things to do. And clearly their message is working. Will that work in the long term? We'll see.
Indeed, we will see. For now, though, in the meantime, I've got my eyes on you, Palantir, and I encourage all my fellow citizens to do the same. For if a defense company thinks that it can...
Oh man, that I gotta say, that's
now
pretty
for a
fun.
dramatic reading of Palantir Reddit posts. Threw 1.6 mil into Palantir because the CEO's head looks like my grandpa balls. So, are we warmongers? Palantir is a good stock.
Are we the
It's
baddies?
an ethical investment. Hamas really took us to the moon. 0 upvotes, 30 comments. Software and war, fire emoji. I'm gonna come, let's go to the moon.
Oh man.
It's one thing to criticize your former employer. It's taboo to do that.
Ah, you worked for
But to
Palantir.
criticize an employer that also owns extremely lethal technologies and surveillance technologies that are highly invasive and used in war zones is something else entirely.
It's 2025. We're all kind of used to government surveillance. The idea that we're all being watched all the time and don't own our own personal data has become normalized. We're also used to the military spending vast amounts of our money on just a few giant defense contractors. But one tech company wants to change both of those things
and become the ultimate military contractor and the ultimate arbiter of all of our data.
Palantir is here to disrupt and make the institutions we partner with the very best in the world, and when it's necessary, to scare enemies and on occasion kill them.
Check out Palantir shares surging 22% after the company cited a boom in demand for its AI software from the U.S. government.
We're doing it. We're doing it. And I'm sure you're enjoying this as much as I am.
Palantir, a tech company based here in Denver, claims they can revolutionize government systems with their data analysis software newly powered by artificial intelligence.
They've been hired by the Department of Defense, the FBI, local police departments, and even the IRS and Wendy's to take in the information those organizations collect even more information, and use that data to draw conclusions.
It can be used to completely reconfigure organizations' ontology, its reality, what systems matter, what information matters, what processes matter, how they are structured, what biases are introduced at each of those stages.
We talked to a former Palantir employee, dug into decades of research, and listened to hours of Alex Karp's own words to unwrap the layers of Palantir's carefully cultivated sales pitch, how they capitalize on fear, uncertainty, and unrest.
I don't think in win-lose. I think in domination. This is a company built for bad times. Bad times mean strong finances internally. Bad times are very good for Palantir because we build products that are robust, that are built for danger.
Let's rewind a little.
Palantir's story starts with one of the most effective things a company can have for sales: fear.
After the September 11th attacks, the United States government began expanding surveillance both at home and abroad. This was, of course, a boon for the defense industry at large. Simultaneously, the Silicon Valley tech industry was growing fast and making people in a once obscure industry very, very rich, very, very quickly. Like the founders and executives at PayPal, known as the PayPal Mafia. Elon Musk, Reid Hoffman, the LinkedIn guy, and Peter Thiel. When PayPal was sold, Thiel had millions of dollars burning a hole in his pocket, and an idea. PayPal had developed systems for detecting fraud and crimes on the platform. What if they could use similar thinking to analyze the world at large? So Thiel pulled from his network to build out a new company. One of the first hires was Thiel's Stanford Law School roommate, Alex Karp, who'd gone on after Stanford to get a PhD in not business or computer science or engineering, but neoclassical social theory. They named the company Palantir, after the Palantiri from J.R.R. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings.
In Lord of the Rings, a Palantir stone is a magical object that allows its users to predict the future or to see what's going on in a remote location.
It was originally created by the elves. It was meant to be used for good purposes. It is potentially a very dangerous technology. It's very powerful.
Long have you hunted me?
So that's Middle Earth, but what does Palantir do in a regular Earth?
And what we do is we use what legal scholars call predicate-based search. So we would look at you, and then we would go out and say, oh, there's lots of different things in your life that may be indicative of someone involved in bad behavior.
Put simpler, they make software that makes it easier for their customers to collect and analyze data, and then act on that analysis, with and without AI. By 2013, 10 years after their founding, Palantir's client list included the FBI, the CIA, the NSA, the Marines, the Air Force, Special Operations Command, and more.
Did your company help to track and kill Osama bin Laden?
I call bullshit.
You know, we can never. I'll tell you, the closest thing to an answer is when you look at when you open the paper and look in the news about these kind of things, there's a 2/3 chance, depending on the country involved, that somehow my company was involved.
Fundamentally, the mission that is pushed to employees is that we're solving the world's hardest problems and supporting Western institutions. That is the main driver of sort of this militaristic culture that is developed inside of Palantir.
If you do not feel comfortable supporting the legitimate efforts of America and its allies in the context of war, don't join Palantir.
This entire message of like, we are the most lethal, we are the most able to surveil and process large amounts of data.
You have created the system which you call kill chain.
Privately. Publicly, the lawyers have some innocuous
So
something like tech for the amelioration of unwanted blah blah blah. some term we're supposed to use.
Okay, let's.
For me, it's the kill chain.
Kill chain sounds good.
Kill chain isn't an original term created by Palantir. It's the more general military verbiage for the series of decisions leading from identifying a target to taking their life. Palantir's contract added their software and artificial intelligence to the kill chain.
It's quicker and better and safer and more violent.
It's tech that Juan helped market.
It reduces the distance you have to the problem, but when you're able to take a step back and really see all the narratives and how they were shaped and the actual application of these technologies, your whole world starts falling apart, which is something that, you know, definitely happened to me.
Juan didn't leave Palantir entirely for ethical reasons. He just got another job. But the reason he eventually started speaking out against Palantir came after watching the Israeli invasion of Gaza following the October 7th attacks.
Boy wanted to join it.
With the Israeli Defense Forces. The exact nature of the contracts is opaque, intentionally, but there is evidence to suggest that Palantir's artificial intelligence tech was used for selecting targets in Gaza. Karp doesn't mind the controversy. In fact, it's part of the marketing.
Palantir will even pick up the projects that other companies rejected for political reasons.
We are very comfortable being unpopular.
Karp doesn't think controversy will lose Palantir customers.
Whatever is pissing them off, they're still buying the product.
Wendy's hired Palantir to help with their supply chain. Palantir works with health insurance companies to build AI for denials management to protect revenue.
Do you want Palantir's AI making decisions about what care is covered for you and your loved ones?
They also do business with for-profit hospitals, major investment banks, and even other defense contractors. In 2024, Palantir brought in nearly $2.9 billion in revenue, 55% of which came from government sources, with the vast majority being American. So let's look at their pitch to the American government. Last year, Palantir CTO Sham Sankar put out a presentation and white paper called The Defense Reformation. He cites The Last Supper, which was a secretive 1993 meeting between defense industry executives and the Deputy Secretary of Defense. Over a dozen companies walked in, and only a few walked out. That dinner is often cited as the origin of our consolidated military-industrial complex.
And to me, I think this was the definitive moment that kicked off the financialization of defense. From that point forward, it became all about buybacks and dividends and leverage ratios.
Criticizing the financialization of the defense industry, calling out stock buybacks, that doesn't sound like a defense executive. That sounds more like the exact argument about the defense industry that we have made before.
I think what's interesting to me about Palantir is how they co-opt the language of revolution.
But Sankar's argument did work on somebody, Uncle Sam. The Defense Innovation Board, an advisory group within the Department of Defense, cited Sankar's presentation multiple times in their 2024 report on why the DoD needs to divert more of their budget to emerging technology. That's giving money to Palantir. There's a reason Palantir just replaced Ford Motors in the S&P 100 in the months after Trump was elected. The Trump administration is an ideal customer for what Palantir is selling. First, there are many former Palantir employees sprinkled across the Trump administration, from inside DOGE to foreign policy advisors to high-level technology appointees. And Palantir co-founder Peter Thiel, heavily invested in the company, is also heavily invested in President Trump and Vice President Vance. He was a major campaign donor to both. Then the stated goal of DOGE is to streamline and combine government data, which is exactly what Palantir does.
The ways that the government is defrauded is that the computer systems don't talk to each other.
And obviously, Karp is loving it.
Disruption, at the end of the day, exposes things that aren't working. There'll be ups and downs. There's a revolution. Some people can get their heads cut off. Like, you know, it's like we're expecting to see really unexpected things and to win.
And what is winning, according to Palantir? This is CTO Sham Sankar in 2021.
Turning to government, we continue to advance our mission of becoming the U.S. government's central operating system as we extend our footprint across defense, healthcare, and civilian agencies.
The government's operating system. They want everything to funnel through Palantir. Palantir already has contracts with the IRS, going through taxpayer data to save auditors time by finding the easiest audits to pursue. Now, Wired reports, DOGE will likely hire Palantir to create unified software for the entire IRS, a mega API that would allow anyone access to and possibly alter all IRS data in one place. That's all of your financial.
And that's the scariest thing right there. Scariest thing right there. If we keep allowing the government, the United States government and tech companies and things like that to come up with these situations, we're going to get so quick to the mark of the beast, dude, it's not even going to be funny.
Information. And they have multiple contracts with the Department of Health and Human Services, including nearly $100 million to support HHS's core administrative data and applications, to manage, ingest, and access data securely across business domains. HHS's core responsibility is Medicare and Medicaid. That's control over millions of Americans' health records and their access to healthcare. So what does it mean for one contractor to have all that power, data, and taxpayer money as profit, especially as AI gets involved?
As we kind of increasingly live in a simulated world, we lose touch with reality and the human decisions that matter, and we move closer towards governance by algorithm. Not only made by decisions of automated artificial intelligence systems, which is a problem, but more importantly, subject to decisions made by the people who are influencing these AI systems and creating them in order to fulfill an agenda for whatever their profit-seeking or control-seeking objectives are. And when I see DOGE kind of going into every agency and addressing the IT department first, I see it as an opportunity to try to change reality itself.
But so what? Why am I telling you all of this? Palantir has no problem being seen as Big Brother, as all-powerful, as lethal even.
We're at the brink of using these technologies potentially to run our government, to run our battlefields, and our personal lives. Using artificial intelligence as a sort of panacea solution across our federal departments, and especially when they're, again, wielded by people with a very distinct agenda, puts everyone at risk.
It almost feels like that's been the plan all along. Here's co-founder Peter Thiel in 2010 at Libertopia, a libertarian conference, speaking about tech companies and government.
The basic idea was that we could never win an election on getting certain things because we were in such a small minority. But maybe you could actually unilaterally change the world without having to constantly convince people and beg people and plead with people who are never going to agree with you through technological means. And this is where I think technology is this incredible alternative to politics.
And here's Alex Karp in 2009 on civil liberties with regards to Palantir's work.
The central question, in my view, of civil liberties is how, it's not if the government has data, because let's assume the government has as much data as a health insurance company. It's how is that data being used? Is it being used in a way that's lawful? Meaning, do they have the right to use it? And is it being migrated into places it's not allowed to be used? We allow the enforcement of rules that the government ought to enforce. And by the way, my experience is they want to enforce, or at very least know they need to enforce. And if it's framed in that way, then you can have what is the ultimate Silicon Valley solution.
One co-founder openly wants to use the power of the tech industry to affect politics. The other wants his company to have oversight over how the government data they're paid to handle is used. And the founders of Palantir will retain control in the company no matter what, through an obscure ownership structure. Their Class F shares grant them 49.99% of voting power, even if they collectively own as little as 6% of the company.
At the start of this journey, I was extremely afraid for the repercussions of this writing, of speaking out, but now I'm like, even more convinced that this is absolutely necessary.
We can't replace our current broken system with an even more broken one. And we can't let the worst people in Silicon Valley become our government.
I definitely don't trust.
It's not about whether you're actually at risk for speaking out or not. It's just the idea that somebody's watching you is enough to push people into silence.
Crazy.
Thank you so much for watching. If you want to support more nonprofit reporting into corporate greed, don't forget to like and subscribe, and let us know in the comments what you'd like to see us cover next.
We got footage on Bloomberg, CNBC, Charlie Ross, Fortune magazine. Oh, not bad, not bad. Let's see, y'all. I don't need to deal with that dude no more. What was this? Yeah.
He talked about, sometimes you got to operate on the dark side. But I've agreed with him the whole time. Like, that's what I've known, and that's what Jeremy Brown and others said, is it was definitely specially selected groups out of DOD who were then compartmentalized into CIA or contractor groups that were the main ones breaking through. I don't think those were FBI agents per se breaking through the windows. But Kyle, you also had one other thing you wanted to hit. We're almost out of time, but I want to get you back soon on Blanche, the deputy attorney general, because now I've got it from a whole bunch of sources. Not Ed Martin, he wouldn't talk about him. other than saying, oh, I got to go out of here for a minute. You know, he's calling me. I go talk to him. That was about, and I said, oh, how's he doing? Oh, he's great. Wouldn't say anything. But everybody else I talked to, they just say he is the bad guy. He is the one blocking everything. He is the problem. What do you have to say about him?
I don't know him personally. I hear the kind of same things that you do. I've been seeing that there's been this push right now saying, hey, he was a Democrat up until 5 seconds ago, and now he's there, and he's the DAG, and so now he moved over to being a judge right now, did he not? But that he was oh, sorry, no, that was a Bove. That was the guy that took the original job. Yeah, you know, you hear all these things. Everybody wants to find out where the logjam is, because we have all these hopes of things that are going to happen. There's going to be pardons. There's a few J6ers that need to be pardoned. I'd like to see
I
mutual
can
friend
tell
Biggs.
you from the White House and the DOJ and high-level people, they go, no, it's Blanche.
Yeah, and like I said, I see the same thing. I haven't heard it specifically. I see it through secondary sources, so I can't confirm this stuff, and I'm real hesitant to weigh in on it. Other than I read the same kind of things that are saying what you're saying.
Well, there's an
I've
example.
heard people
It's
rumbling.
Blanche that ordered Ed Martin to end the investigation into the DOJ funding the attacks on me. And he bragged. He goes, I ordered it and made Martin apologize. I mean, there you go, firsthand.
Yeah, and it's not a good feeling because everybody expected big changes, and what you end up seeing is that this is the argument I continue to make.
I'm saying, I just gave you firsthand, though, right there.
Yeah, no, exactly right. So what I argue is that the status quo is undefeated, and I don't know who's always backing the status quo. It seems like there's always somebody that steps up right at the moment to back it, and so we get the same old thing. We get the same old, that's why I love government shutdowns. They're my favorite because shut it down, let's not pay for it, and let's see what shakes out in the wash when we go for a couple of months. Showed up,
there
the car
we
still
go.
starts when you drive, the traffic is whatever it is. It's just not all that important, and yet we have this outsized influence by the federal government, if nothing else in our minds, and then there's these small things that affect a ton of people with very, very minimal, personnel. So you screwed up the lives of like 2,000 J6ers, and they haven't all been made whole yet, and they certainly haven't had any settlements. And some of those guys, like we said, Biggs, still not pardoned. Why are these things happening? And we always want to find the
put the
boogeyman.
hero cop that exposed J6 in prison. And he has
Sure, of course.
All right, great job. Talk to us again soon.
That's pretty shameful.
Dr. Chris Martinson coming up on Charlie Kirk.
Chase, good to talk to you again. I wanted to do a quick plug on the methylene blue, on the long-term effects that it had on me. Back in 2020, I got COVID. My brother and my dad both have eczema. After I got COVID, it must have, it opened that dormant cell in my body or whatever. So I've been dealing with eczema ever since 2020. And the long-term effects, the methylene blue, 99% gone.
That's absolutely incredible. I'm so happy. Have your relatives tried it too to see the same effect?
I have been trying to get my brother to take it, and he's skeptical. But I'll tell you what, I got 4 bottles sitting on my table. I think I'm just going to give him one. And I think if I just give it to him, I think he'll eventually try it.
Yeah, that's a good move.
Defending the Republic from enemies, foreign and domestic. It's Alex Jones.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. I have been called 1 trillion times a conspiracy theorist by the corporate media. Maybe that's exaggeration 1 billion times. I mean, you just constantly. There's thousands of articles a day. And that term was developed in 1963, early 64. It was later declassified in the 70s in the Senate Frank Church committee hearings, 76, 77, 78. The CIA created that term. When you can't argue with the facts, just say, oh, they're conspiracy theorists. Well, like Elon Musk said a few years ago, we need new conspiracy theories because they all came true. Well, they were already true. But in the past, most of the public still bought into whatever official stories were. And that made it really easy for the deep state corporations, corrupt groups to get away with a lot. But now, because there's so much understanding and people know what to look for, and there's so many investigators online, some credible, some not, some that mean well, some that don't mean well. We all make mistakes. But there's so much focus now and so many cameras and so much metadata that it's really hard for the deep state and groups to get away with things. I mean, they get caught. So now they mainly go to provocateur operations, or they'll piggyback on somebody else that they've got wound up to do something. But 3 weeks ago, today, if I'd have come on air day one and said Israel did it, we'd had billions of views, and we'd be a hero. If I would have said, oh, when one of the security guys goes under his arm and they say it's a gun, we blew it up, looks like a cell phone. People were mad at me for, people were mad at me for not coming out and saying, no, that guy's the killer. And then they had another guy behind him to an angle. They say it looks like one of those cell phone guns, and you blow it up, it looks to me like a bottle of water, and he's screwing the top off. So you got all that. But that doesn't mean I buy into the official story, and it took time to ferret through it and have a ballistics experts on, and Navy SEALs and Delta Force and Green Berets, you see them every day on. None of them or their communities, so we're talking about thousands of people in the aggregate, none of them buy the official story. And then you've got what looks like a ChatGPT letter to his boyfriend, and you've got all the time code inconsistencies, and then the bullet, we only learned about that a week and a half ago, 2 Saturdays ago, that goes, a 30-06 goes in and bounces off at 200 yards off of his spinal cord. That is basically impossible. And I've been a big game hunter. I mean, but anybody knows that. I mean, I've shot elk at 300, 400 yards with 30-06 right to the side, and it comes out with 30-06, only time I shot one once, 3 giant holes. The bullet broke up, but like a 4-inch, 2-inch, 1-inch, gone. Elk falls over. Same thing with 300 Win Mags. So I know that that's impossible in my view to hit somebody in the neck. Now they said, well, it went down and then bounced back up. Well, we better get this autopsy. Was there one? Wasn't there one? They say there is. We better see the bullet, but how do we know? So talking to so many experts out there, our next guest information, just comes up over and over again, and I've actually got his bio right over here. I had a family emergency, so I was literally like skidding into home plate here just about 15 minutes ago. And that's Chris Martenson, and he has a PhD in pathology, toxology from Duke University, an MBA from Cornell, is a best-selling author, writer, and proprietor of Peak Prosperity website community, which is dedicated to performing rock-solid analysis and helping people become prepared for whatever is about to happen next, peakprosperity.com. And so he's been on before, highly respected, but talking to so many people I respect, they say, Dr. Chris Martenson, he has the best analysis. So I'm going to try to, as best I can, give him the floor to start wherever he wants. He's going to have control with his own video feed to show you these exhibits. But now 3 weeks in, we know a lot more. And I think we know this, correct me if I'm wrong, Doctor, we're being fed a line of bull, which then becomes a fertile ground, for whatever the latest theory is. So we'll try to hone in on the reality. For me, and we always look at who benefits, and I think it's important to look at both, but we need to find out actually what hit him, the specifics of who really shot him. Then we can start tracking who to blame. There's obviously a lot of different groups that would stand to gain. The DNC, the RNC that wanted to take control of the organization. Not saying they did. Israel certainly is capable of these type of activities. Could it be a Soros group? I mean, who knows? I will let Dr. Chris Martenson give his analysis on this from every angle. So, Doc, thanks for being here with us. We really appreciate the time.
Hey, Alex, it's so great to be back with you again. I think the last time was around the Butler shooting. So this isn't my first rodeo analyzing these sorts of events. And I have to say that I think that they learned something from the Butler side, because we don't have that many videos to work with. We're working with a real paucity of information. If I could just right up front, we need more information. We need the videos from the stairwells, from the UVU cameras, from the TPUSA cameras. We need the audio from Charlie Kirk's mic. We don't have any of that. We don't have an autopsy. So what we're going on is a little thin. But what they told us, I can prove is wrong, I think, right? And that is that a gentleman named Tyler Robinson was sitting on a roof and took a shot with a 30-06. Now, how that rifle got to the roof, we don't know. They say, oh, he must have disassembled it, stuffed the pieces, the stock and the barrel down into his pants. But you as a shooter would know this. You would never reassemble a longbore rifle like that with a bunch of screws and think that it was going to be anything close to zeroed in when you got there. But we'll leave that aside.
Total
if I could start,
Total bull.
Total bull. Yeah. So if I could start here, this is the tent that Charlie was sitting under. He was just under that apex right there. This is in that UVU courtyard, and it steps up those grass steps and concrete pieces. This is where they said he was on the edge of the Losi building. There's an area circled there. You maybe could sort of see a little stuff there, but when we dial in, you can see they have a bunch of evidence tags here showing where there was some imprints, putatively because somebody was lying down, elbows and knees in a shooting position. But we can see here the overall angle from here down to the tent. There's a shot. There's absolutely a shot you can take there, no question about it. The problem we have with that is that, and these are those indents a little closer. The problem we have with that angle of the shoot is that it just can't work out. First off, it's about a 10-degree downslope. So flat, 0 degree would be you're on flat ground, I'm on flat ground. We have a 0-degree slope. Given that angle, it's about 140 yards. I've measured it, and that's 10 degrees down. Also, not straight on Charlie, but just about 10 degrees off, just a little off. So we're coming in at what we're calling a 10 and 10. It's just, it's actually 9 degrees.
So it's not
9
enough
degrees.
of an angle from higher up that could potentially ricochet off and go down into the body.
I just don't think so, because this red dot here shows this is a frame right before Charlie was shot. That's right about exactly where that hole appeared in his neck. That's the softest part of the neck right there. You don't even have a windpipe. Like, this is soft. And first off, just the 10-degree downslope, it misses every bone. It would go through and through. So from every angle we look at this, it's going to miss everything. More importantly, when we look at it from where it was way off axis over here. This would be on axis, straight up center. It was here. Would have come out between the C7 and T1 vertebrae. It would have blown straight through. There is nothing but soft tissue there. So also the 10-degree off axis, it would have to come in from about 40 or 50 degrees to hit the spine, which is what they said.
But even if it 30 on 6 or 200 yards hit the spine, it would vaporize it and blow the whole neck off.
It would. It absolutely would. And people have run that test over and over again, and ballistic gel, this and that. But at this angle, the 10 and 10, it doesn't hit anything. It's just soft neck, probably about 5 inches. There, you can look at hundreds of ballistic gel shots or people shooting hams. It won't matter. Nothing changes in a 30-06 in the first 6 inches. Now, I've had people tell me, hey, Chris, I was a battlefield medic. Bullets do weird things. But if we could be very clear about this, bullets do weird things at the terminal end of their trajectory. When they first come in, they have all their foot-pounds of energy. They just come slamming right in. Later, when they've bled off a lot of that energy, now they're free to sort of hit a bone or follow some muscle group or do some weird stuff. But bullets, when they're going to do weird things in bodies, they do it at the end of their trajectory, the terminal phase.
Well, sure. I mean, I don't want to sound gratuitous, but I used to hunt a lot. And I, just because of fighting globalists, I've basically quit and never hunt. Maybe once here with my dad, we go up to a deer stand. I used to shoot hundreds of animals a year. And we give them to charity and everything else. But I've gone down game ranches in San Antonio and stuff, and then we donate to the homeless thing. And I mean, I've shot 15 mountain goats in a day. You know, you name it, at 300, 400, 500 yards, you know, out there driving around on 12,000-acre ranches and Jeeps. So I've shot buffalo, I've shot zebras, I shot it all. And I'm just telling you, I mean, it's ridiculous. A 300 Win Mag or 30-06, you shoot a zebra, you shoot a buffalo, it goes through buffalo. And the thing is, we've seen when they butcher them, and I butcher a lot, send a lot of stuff myself, but not the big animals. He's like a tractor to haul up a buffalo. But they'll show you while they're butchering at these ranches, usually these incredible Hispanic butchers.
While we listen to this, I posted, this is LA live. Apparently Antifa was rioting. I have no idea, but I wanted to see what they were doing. So here we go.
The fastest I've ever seen. They'll say, look at the bullets, senor, and they'll show you. But we know it through a neck, through even a big bone, a 30-06, 200 yards, if it only hit that one big bone, it would still go right through it. I'm sorry I'm ranting. It's just not true to say that a 30-06 could hit in the neck and bounce off a damn neck vertebrae is preposterous. Sorry, I'm ranting.
Agreed. No, totally agreed. Totally agreed. So this is a cross-section here of a human neck, and at about the C7 level, so we're at the level where the bullet would have come in. It would have entered here. It would have hit the jugular. and it would have gone clean through. And this, for a 30-06, it won't even think about that. It'll just pass right through. If you see this bone here, well, this is the spinal column. This is kind of a solid bone here, but these little things on the side are called tubercles. They're insignificant bones. Nothing, absolutely nothing would have happened on a 10-degree shot into this neck, except that bullet would have gone through and through. But here's the thing. We did see him go into this decorticate positioning where his right hand came up. That speaks to a midbrain injury, so we have to account for that. And I still have a conclusion, though, that a bullet did stop in Charlie's body. It just couldn't have been shot from that place where they're telling us the shot was taken from. And the reason is we have this one video where you can see here two things. This is, I've drawn a neck line around Charlie here. I've taken 2 frames, lined them up exactly pixel for pixel, and I've put that same mark down here, and you can see this huge overexpansion. You can see his neck is completely swelled up. You can't have an explosion and have the thing still be in the frame. It just doesn't work that way.
Wouldn't it eject it the other direction from the blast? Wouldn't it shoot the other direction?
Yeah, and you know, we saw this during the pager explosions in Lebanon, right? They make a big mess. His T-shirt would have been ripped and on fire or burnt because explosions happen with a lot of that stuff. So here we can see this is just taking those 2 frames, so you're just flipping back and forth so we can watch. We'll go from one to the next, from one. This is before the shot. This is the first frame after the shot, and it's just easy to appreciate. Look how much expansion there is. How much he cavitated is the actual term for this. So it seems pretty clear to me that there was a pretty violent event. His head isn't being knocked backwards. If he was hit in the back of his spine, his whole body would have been thrown backwards, as you know, from the force of that. What happened instead was we see his whole body expand like this. So
that generally means, like Kennedy shot from the front, his head goes back into the
yes.
And then here, so this, you're saying just the obvious body motion looks like he's being shot from where?
I'm going to have to say it's coming in at a really steep angle. It has to come in because it's landing in his body. And to get there, this is the Mitchell X. Look at this, the high speed. This is a 300 blackout. Doesn't have near the force of a 30-06, but it shows very nicely what happens, which is that cavitation event that happens when a high-speed round lands in something like this is ballistic gel meant to mirror a human body. You see that huge overexpansion. That's because the bullet's dumping all of its many hundreds, if not thousands of pounds, foot-pounds of energy into a liquid, and liquids hate to expand. So what do? They go and they create, this is called a cavitation bubble. Boom. Now, you need this is about a 1/1000th of a second thing, so you have to have very high-speed photography. I think it was completely fortuitous that we had a single frame that caught at least part of that process, but it's very clear we can see that expansion in his neck. And
so what do you make of the surgeon then saying, I mean, we don't, the surgeon's, I don't think he's like in on it. So he says, oh, 30-06, he's doing the official story. It goes in, bounces off the vertebra, goes down through the vertebra, and then bounces back up. So he's just trying to comport the official story into what he saw. But then where, I mean, I know you're going through the evidence, but where does this all point?
So because of that cavitation, of a high-speed rifle round, best guess it was a rifle round, went into his body. And so now we have to account for some shooting physics, some angles that could actually make that happen. The only way that can happen is if he's shot here in the neck, it has to come in from a much steeper angle. And
sure, you just proven that wouldn't be from the roof. That's like a 10 degree. And so that would fit with what the surgeon said. But then now where could someone shoot him at that angle? And then if it came in here and then, well then why didn't the surgeon say there was another bullet hole?
If there's another bullet hole, I haven't heard that yet. All I've heard about the surgeon is hearsay. I think that was Colvett who said that. But so I haven't heard anything directly. I haven't seen an autopsy report. I don't believe anybody has.
No, that's a good point. We're all operating off of what the spokesman, who literally, when I responded to him 10 minutes after he posted his thing 2 Saturdays ago, saying, oh, he's a man of steel. It just went in and went, you know. And he says, I don't want to get too graphic here because I don't upset people. He literally calls me 45 minutes after I did a post saying, I don't buy this. He was very nice. And then quote gave me more of what the surgeon said. But I totally agree with you, Dr. Martinson. We need to get, Well, what have you heard about the autopsy? We hear the dispatcher saying no autopsy when she comes to get the body, but now we're hearing from TPUSA there will be one later in October.
Well, I mean, the dispatcher might have been saying they're not going to do the autopsy at the hospital. That's entirely possible. They were just trying to communicate that they were going to transport the body.
But you got to sign a death certificate. Yeah, but he signed the death certificate, though.
Yeah. So, listen, that part's really shaky. I don't have a lot to go on there, but I can almost definitively at this point rule out being shot from the front because there's zero chance. You know this. Help your listeners figure this out. A bullet doesn't just magically start going different directions because it enters a body. With that first bullet, assuming it's a relatively standard 30-06 hunting round, which it probably was, if that's what it was, it's carrying about 2,200 foot-pounds of energy. That means if I had a 2,200-pound block and I dropped it from a foot, clunk, that's a ton, right? That's how much power this has. So bullets do not do goofy things when they have all of their
folks that don't
initial
know,
energy.
Smaller calibers like 5.56 can turn quicker and start tumbling once they hit bone. But with 30-06 and bigger calibers like that are Magnum rounds, it usually, if you're not, I mean, at 1,000 yards, it's still going super fast. But at 200, it's at maximum speed, 2,800. When they go in, it goes through big bones and then starts to break up later. But usually you'll hit a big bone and it'll still only expand, maybe to an inch or so. Then it starts breaking up after it's expended its energy. But still, there's such that cavity you're talking about, such a blast force that it just blows right through. I mean, I'm talking about through buffalo, through you name it. So this is one of the most powerful, rounds when you start getting into that super magnum scale. And all the hunters, everybody knows this is just horse crap. It is I mean, again, anybody knows you shoot somebody 200 yards with a standard round, standard load 30-06. If you hit them right perfectly in the vertebrae, the thickest part, you've got that tiny hole in the front, and a 30-06 is so high powered it wouldn't even have time to open up. So I would imagine a 1.5, 2-inch hole in the back because the bullet's going to come out in a mushroom, but not broken up yet. I mean, I'm telling you, I don't think it would even begin to break up shooting through a neck. It's total BS.
Yeah, and of course, we haven't seen any pictures of the remaining 2 cartridges in the putative gun that they found wrapped in a towel conveniently nearby. If we could see those, now we could start making some more guesses and more informed decisions about things. If it was full metal jacket, like if he had standard like ball rounds that the military use, I personally, with an M1 Garand, have holes right through 14-inch pine trees using ball ammo. That trees don't even stop that.
It would go through even more. I mean, for people don't understand, they're like, well, maybe it was ball ammo. No, the ball ammo penetrates even further and stronger and doesn't break up.
Right. Nope, goes straight on through. 14-inch trees, personal knowledge, but you can see videos of that too. Penetration is extraordinary on the ball ammo. So how do we account for that cavitation? A bullet obviously struck him. He was dead almost instantly because he went into that decordicate posturing, that pugilist pose within 5 frames. That's like 1/10 of a second. He's just like, oh, he's out, lights out.
So that fits with the surgeon's story that it took out his spine.
If it did, it had to take out the spine below the thoracic 1 level, because if it took out the spine above that, in his neck anywhere, he's now flaccid. There would be no muscle tone because those nerves would be destroyed. So that's out. So
well, that's what the surgeon was saying. Is according to TPUSA, was he even listed he said it went down far in the vertebra.
Well, that tells us that's great. So we have a wound channel now. Somewhere from here has to be able to hit somewhere way down here, and that gives us an angle. So he was shot from the left at a very high angle, cannot have been shot from the position they told us he was shot from. Full stop.
Well, that's what I said. I'm literally was going to pick up my daughter from my parents' house, and I shot the video in the car while she was waiting, and I just instantly saw what he said, and I said, well, there's no way it came at a 10-degree or whatever angle and did that. And so then they call and go, oh, no. And he goes, I don't want you to say this. I said, well, I have to. Now, I wasn't writing notes, but he described all the vertebrae. They said it came in, glanced down because it was at an angle. And then he said, went through, he listed like 5 or 6 vertebrae. And then he said, exploded into the heart and then bounced back up into the neck. And that's where, but then is that a piece of the bullet? And so, again, that's what I was told. I really think they need to sign a TUTMA agreement, not a TUTMA, a medical release form, And I think they should, I mean, I think we should see this surgeon come out and speak, don't you?
Well, absolutely, and we need to see the x-rays because, look, come on, Alex. It's like that magic bullet in the Kennedy thing, right? This bullet allegedly goes through Kennedy's neck, tumbles around, smashes Connolly's thigh, and then is found on the gurney completely unmolested as a whole unit. That's just not how these things work. So if this was a hunting round of some kind, wasn't ball ammo, well, it's going to be in fragments if it did that much damage to the spine. It's going to be leaving pieces. Now, maybe they found a big chunk of it and they're calling that the bullet, but if they find an intact bullet that magically went all the way tumbling through his body and bounced back up and isn't destroyed, I'm going to be very suspicious. I think you would too. It just doesn't make any sense. But a lot of things in this story just don't make sense. And I've been hearing from people that, you know, they think they have video evidence, but nobody seems to be interested in it. You know, it's just like the FBI washing down the roof of that thing in Butler the next day. It's just, there's things here that you wouldn't do during a normal course of an active investigation unless you were absolutely positive you had the perp and there was nothing more to be learned. But
all right, Chris Martenson, I know you don't like to, Dr. Chris Martenson, I don't like to speculate, but just in general, all the theories that have been disproven, some that haven't, this atmosphere, and why all the military community I know do not buy the official story. And the smartest guys I talked to, none of them say they know what happened, but they all agree with what you're saying, that he was shot down. He was not shot from the angle they claim on that roof. We'll be right back.
Speaking of mysteries, how did you wind up knowing Alex Jones?
It was his early videos. It was his early documentaries. It was the stuff he produced himself, like on VHS. I watched that documentary. I'd been, a fan of Alex's early stuff. And that's, just him.
So you knew who he was on 9/11?
Yeah.
You were on a radio show and you talked about 9/11, and you have, is it a theory or you just don't believe the government account of what happened on 9/11?
I just had questions.
Yeah?
I had a lot of questions. And the forum I chose to voice those questions in is the Alex Jones radio show. And just because he's a guy that I've been a fan of and followed for a lot of years.
He's my friend. I would mean no disrespect. I love him. He's coming here in a month. But I'd never heard of Alex Jones on 9/11. It's interesting that you have long felt like you want to look at other sources of information.
Of course. Yeah, I've always done my own research, always. I've got to believe that the Pentagon is the most protected and documented, video-protected, surveilled building in the history of the known universe, right?
Turns out not.
Well, I'm saying
I think we just have
one
two videos from the parking
kiosk. Yeah. And then
that is weird, isn't it?
Yeah. And then Building 7. It's just you just can't. You can't watch that and say that is the result of a fire that burned for 5 hours on 2 floors. You can't sell that to me. And that for years that was always met with, that is disrespecting the victims.
They are hurting the victims' families, the survivors, because they continue to raise this preposterous notion that the United States government would be so hideously manipulative that we would kill almost 3,000 of our own citizens as a pretext to going to war in Afghanistan.
How is that disrespecting the fallen heroes? How? If you're just looking for the truth behind what is clearly not how it was explained.
It was if they had detonated. If they were planned to take down a building. Boom, 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 boom.
So that's how I met Alex. I said, "Hi, Alex. I'm a fan for years." I said, "We have to talk. 0 hour is upon us." And he called in 10 minutes.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And then flew out to see you.
Yeah. And then we thought, okay, let's build a secret weapon. Let's do something that is unique. So we got together and we wrote this piece called 20 Minutes with the President.
20 minutes with the president.
We drilled down into the 20 things that were really bulletproof. But Alex said they're just going to paint you as crazy.
Oh, of course.
And I said, really? That's like, they can't get more creative than that? He says, no, they're just going to call you crazy. And smash cut to like a week later, and it was literally, it was Bill O'Reilly and it was Geraldo. And they just dismissed me in one sentence. Well, Charlie Sheen's obviously crazy.
No.
Yeah. Someone can find that clip, I'm sure.
Charlie Sheen continues to say the U.S. government knew about 9/11 before it happened.
It's one of these things like Area 51 with the aliens in New Mexico. No matter how you define it, they still believe it.
is crazy?
Yeah. Yeah, I do.
Okay. You think he's crazy?
I think that he has a trick gene or a screw loose.
Personally, I wanted to create a public document specifically rooted in fact. If anybody dares question that, I would encourage those people to scrutinize it, to research it. The truth is unchanging, Alex, as we both know.
And I was always amazed to see that you always had hard data to back up your claims.
In the Infowar.
In the Infowar.
Leading a frontal assault on the lies of the New World Order, it's Alex Jones. Crashing through the lies and disinformation, it's Alex Jones, coming to you live from the front lines of the Infowar.
Day one, everyone, when I say everyone, most people wanted to say who has a motive, who killed him. And the official story was it was Trantifa. And they've been out killing a lot of people. And the left was calling for Charlie's death. They celebrated his death. And we just had weeks before that on record one of these demons shooting up the Catholic children's mass in Minneapolis, Minnesota. So I was like, okay. I mean, I don't want to believe that this government is as corrupt and crazy as the ones we've had in the past. You know, the same group that tried to kill Trump and Butler. We know there were two shooters there. We got an expert on about that right now. I was like, I mean, I certainly didn't see it as the Trump administration. And then to say Israel, just because he was having a fracas with them. And I mean, is Israel capable of that? Is Netanyahu? I think so. But I just can't say, not only do we not know the truth of what happened, but we know who did it and who's behind it. That's just not how you investigate. We're actually trying to be credible here, despite what the corporate, media has tried to say about us in the past. I tell you, though, there's such a loss of faith in the government and the media, period, that no one I know, not just all the military experts, the ballistics experts, buys any of this. And I think it was healthy to question and look at it all. But I think we now have more questions than answers. But I think it's clear what Dr. Chris Martenson is saying here from peakprosperity.com, with all his great background in pathology and toxicology from Duke University and Cornell, that the official story is obviously not true, that he was shot from the roof. At GPT basic confession that hits every point if you wanted to convict him. And we're wanting to write a bulletproof, pun intended, conviction letter. So moving out from your scientist hat and then get back into the science, I'm going to give you the floor here. Just, if you're sitting there talking to your wife and she's asking, what do you really think happened, honey? What do you tell her?
That not only was he not shot from the position we were told, he was shot from a different position. I know that there's been an absolute lack of interest in that, apparent lack of interest in that from the official investigating authorities. We also know that this is sort of just a flavor of what happens, but somebody has been flooding the zone with crackpot ideas. Now, you opened earlier and you said exactly the right thing. Listen, we're all free to speculate. We get some things right. It's fast moving. That's all fine. But what I saw were some really bad ideas that just suddenly got really put forward and got put out there. And when you chase them down, it's a little bit dodgy. It looks more like a professional thing, like somebody with real agency and authority is interested in poisoning the well, right? They just flood the zone with bad ideas. So did you hear that the gun was disassembled? Did you hear that?
Yes, of course.
I did too, and I tried to chase down where did I get that from. And it came from this guy, gun expert, Steve Wolf, on News Nation on September 12th. So he says,
in a magazine. How quickly, if it is broken down, because it doesn't look like he's jumping with a long rifle tucked in his leg. It looks like it's got to be in that backpack. So how quickly could he break it down if he needed to break it down?
A second or two.
What?
Literally just push a button and wrap it around, push another button and wrap it back. They're designed to be able to be put into full length mode or compact.
You saw the same. If there's another picture of another gun, please let me know. But this is the picture that was released. New York Post said that this is a crime scene photo. It's in an evidence box. There's no takedown kit on this. It's got a synthetic stock on there, but there's no button you can press. There's no easy way to disassemble this. So how is it that they got this guy on TV? And who is he anyway? Well, it turns out he's a Hollywood guy. He works for movies, TV shows, the firm, the client, ABC, NBC, PBS. So this guy starts this rumor that this thing is very easily disassembled, takes a second. And, when I consult my actual experts like Mr. Guns and Gear and people who know a lot more about weapons than I do, and I know a bit, they say no takedown kit. It just doesn't exist. But that's part of the mythology that got out there, and it ran with it and it really polluted the story because now we have to start questioning, did he take it apart? When did he reassemble it? Did he take it apart, put it back on the roof, disassemble it on the roof, then reassemble it to put it in the bushes? That story is a hot mess. But I think I see what they're trying to do. They're trying to claim, because they don't have any images of this guy walking up onto the roof with a long gun. So now you have to count for, well, it had to be in pieces, I guess. So they want to start this idea that it's easily disassembled. But if you've ever tried to disassemble a Mauser 98 or any other long barrel sporting rifle bolt action, there's about 3-4 screws, depending on the model, you're going to have to undo. The whole trigger guard's going to come out as an assembly with the scope and the rifle assembly. The mag well's going to have this spring that's going to be popping out, all that. It takes a quality person 45, 60 seconds to just take it apart. Putting it back together, a whole nother thing. But when you do that, you're not zeroed anymore, guaranteed, right? It just doesn't work out that way. So when we look at these feet, but they had to account for, you can't see a long gun in this thing. This guy jumping off the roof, which they said is our suspect. Oddly, they started that particular video at 12, 23, and 34 seconds, which is a few seconds after the shot. So why didn't they show us the video of the guy getting on the roof? Why don't they show us a video of the time the guy allegedly took the shot and running across the roof? Nope, they cut it right after the action started, and they've given us 0 videos of this guy walking up the stairwell onto the roof. A couple of grainy potato cam stills, and that's where we're at. So this feels like an intentional attempt to deceive at this point in time. And by the way, we've seen a huge amount of deception going on out there with these, hey, listen, we come up with some ideas that don't pan out, but the worst ones that just don't comport with physics, those get a lot of traction somehow. Somebody's buying views on those and making sure that they go far. And as soon as I see that, Alex, I'm pretty sure we're dealing with it's just not individual.
Yeah, somebody's flooding the zone with disinfo. Well, what about, and again, I'm not in defense of Israel, I'm a big critic of Israel, but I'm also a supporter of truth. I'm not saying Israel couldn't have a motive or couldn't be involved. I'm saying, how do you instantly say so many influencers, we know it's Israel, it's them, within 12 hours? And then I'm like, well, we got to investigate. Oh, you're a traitor. You're on the payroll too. And then I'm like, no, I'm not. I mean, we like you said, they got better since Butler. And I would guess past behavior of this climate is going to be the future action. I would say the main suspects, whoever they are, is whoever tried to kill Trump and Butler. We know there were 2 shooters. You're an expert on that. Maybe you should just remind people about the few of the key points there.
Yeah, give me 1 second. I'm just going to find. So in the Trump shooting, we actually, and I just have to find a slide.
Take your time, sir. In fact, I keep interrupting. We're 16 minutes to break. You're hosting. You take over.
Okay, so here's what we had in the Butler shooting. So we had all these cameras to work with, and so I had 7 high quality sources that I used, including Trump's own mic, which is the ultimate source because it was right at the point where you could get what's called the snick boom, a rifle that's shooting a supersonic round. The bullet, supersonic, it's traveling faster than sound. So the bullet arrives before the report from the gun. And when it does, it has a little sonic boom, like a plane that's going too fast, faster than Mach 1 will have a sonic boom. It's lightning. Boom, you get the sonic boom. So we had these beautiful sonograms here that we could begin to line up and learn a lot of things about what happened. And here we sort of see the snick and then the boom and the snick and the boom. And so we were able to start unraveling the whole Trump-Butler shooting very, very quickly. The key thing, the reason that I know that we have 2 shooters is that we had this camera that was on the west side of that AGR building, the American Glass Research Building. So over on the side, if you were facing it from Trump's direction, the left side, the west side. And there was somebody over there filming, and they caught these first 3 shots here. You see that this is the shot itself, these are explosions, and then this is an echo, and this is an explosion, and this little thing is an echo. So one of the things you can't do if you're a single shooter is change the geometry of the echoes that are going to result. This camera is sitting in one spot, and all of a sudden we see that those next 5 come off. So it was 1, 2, 3. This first shot was the one that nicked Trump's ear. We had 2 and 3. These are the ones actually that ended up hurting Copenhagen and David Dutch behind Trump. And then we have these next string of 5, which is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this is the last one, which was the one that killed the kid. But look at these echoes. These are 0.17 seconds apart. These are 0.08, give or take. 0.1. Okay, so I can tell you for a fact that this gun that took these 3 shots was echoing off of different surfaces than these. If the FBI was, wanted to run a quality investigation and say, oh, we can explain that, they would have to run a test. Go back there in July when the same leaves are up, make sure there aren't any new structures, put the stand back up, have some equipment. They should have done these tests, honestly, the day after. And then you fire 3 shots, and then maybe, I don't know, let's hypothesize, maybe the gun barrel was over the ridge line, and now it's behind the ridge line, and that changes things. But they would have to recreate this to say, here's how you could get this signature with one lone crazed kid, shooting from a single position. But beyond that, you can't. So this, we put this out there, and this should have been picked up everywhere, and had 0 calls from the FBI, 0 calls from any investigators. Nobody was interested. So that tells you something right there. At a minimum, they would have to explain how the echoes changed, because those are the hardest things to change in a shooting scenario. Okay, so, well, with that, I can just guarantee you that what we saw in Butler has not been resolved. It clearly points to 2 shooters, and that's what the data we have has. And we've had this data for, well over a year now, and just been sitting on it here, and we put it out to the world.
Just to be clear, Dr. Chris Martenson, I totally respect you, and you're amazing, and I've been really wanting to get you on. They're having a federal court hearing right now with all the battles to shut us down that will finally decide this. And so they're in there in their control room listening to it. So I'm listening to you in one ear and running in there. And just for listeners to know, I'll cover this more next hour, but he has lifted the stay, and unless he does some other maneuver, they're going to come in here with sheriff's deputies as early as tomorrow and shut down Infowars. So all of you out there, oh, it's fake, he survived so much that, whatever. I just hope you remember that, because this is how hard this fight has been. I hope you pray for Infowars right now. It's been hell, but they want us off the air so we can't have real discussions. The Democrats are in the news saying we want him off the air. It isn't about money. They've refused settlements. They want us off the air. So sorry, I was listening to you, sir, and I'm sorry to have, when I said you're hosting, though, you're hosting. Go ahead, please continue.
Well, I'm very sorry to hear that, because, of course, you've had to put up with so much around this. And I see it as all part of that one thing, which is we're in the fight for our lives. We have this deep state. It's unaccountable. It just does whatever it wants. It operates extrajudicially. It doesn't even care that it throws out really crazy ideas that we're supposed to absorb, like, buildings just fall at free fall speed, for no good reason. Just trust us, bro. Right. So this all feels like it fits into that. I think that we absolutely deserve. Charlie deserves to know. Charlie was the most potent political figure of our times, in the sense that he was going out to college campuses and speaking directly to the kids.
He was literally an evangelist who'd already had an effect that definitely made Trump win both times, but was accelerating more powerful. And he was gaining momentum, and he was an evangelist for the return of the Republic. That's absolutely why I see the Democrats, that clearly the deep state, and some Republicans that tried to kill Trump and Butler, I see them as the prime suspect. Now, they're in discords. They use, this guy as a piggyback, or we know he was connected to this, program at college that was a feeder group to intelligence. But regardless, to me, and I know you're a scientist, you don't like to speculate, but just as an opinion, I think it's the Democrat, globalist, neocon deep state that has the most motive. But at the same time, I mean, I could see it being any other group, but I think it is really clear that what we're being told is a lie. And then by extension, who has the power to cover this up, and who's doing that? And I was told 2 weeks ago by folks that were in the White House meetings, and then I confirmed it with a very well-known journalist who also was told the same thing, who was not in the meeting, but was told by the same people, that Trump was like, I want to find out who did it. It's the trans people. Get them all. And then in a breakaway meeting, they're like, nope, we're not saying he has accomplices. We're moving forward. So why haven't the 6 people that posted days before, he'll be dead tomorrow, he'll be dead in 2 days. Oh, see, we told you he'd be dead tomorrow and the next day. Where are their hard drives? Why haven't they been SWAT teamed? Where are their phones? So they're not even willing to look at the surrounding support leftist group in the official story. So that to me is another really big red flag.
Well, and if you have to contrast that with, of course, the overbearingness of the J6, 5,000 FBI agents going out and busting down doors and everything, because that was just so horrible that people walked between velvet ropes, you can clearly interpret something by the muscularity of the investigation. It was 4 days after the shooting that already they were tearing up the grass and, repaving the whole crime scene, as if that's what you do in these situations. Charlie Kirk's murder was the most significant political murder since MLK, as far as I'm concerned.
I agree.
And it deserves the most intense, rigorous, absolutely, no stone unturned kind of an investigation. And we're not getting that. You're right. Where are these other 6 furries that should be, getting absolutely, in cuffs and being talked to?
Yeah, they said, he'll be dead tomorrow. You just watch. Next day, yay, he's dead. I told you. I mean, that is total probable cause for a warrant. They should have been... we all knew this an hour after he was dead, these people were bragging, and it was confirmed. They should have been SWAT team bare minimum the next morning.
Yep. Well, I do think that Charlie Kirk's murder was not done by Tyler Robinson. I actually think that his lawyers are going to have a relatively easy time creating what we would call reasonable doubt, right? If we look at these pictures of him coming up the stairwell, which are these 2 pictures down here against his booking photos, anything we can see, you can see this guy has a smooth upper ear. This guy, I can't really tell because it's a potato can, but it looks like a fold across the upper ear that we can see. I'm not even sure this is him, but we were told it was him. We were told it was him. And we were told that, oh, this must be him because he has the same sort of sunglasses, but the hat doesn't match anymore. And the sunglasses may be a match. There were cameras everywhere on that, up the stairwells,
yeah, but
around
even
the
if it's
Losi
him,
Center.
he could have been part of a drill or something. That's classic to have him part of something else or say, and they just use him as the patsy.
Yep. And here, these are allegedly the photos taken of somebody who's going up to get on the roof of the Losi building. But I can tell you there's no gun down that pant leg, right?
Yeah,
and,
for those that don't know, and again, I'm not a registered super marksman, Delta Force person, but I've shot a lot of deer rifles, a lot of Mausers, and anybody knows you're going hunting, you bump them around too much, you're shooting at 500, 600 yards, it's going to be off, even with the best scopes and things. That's why you put it in a soft case, you do all that. And if you disassemble one for long-range shooting, you can be guaranteed when you put it back together that it's going to be shooting, a half foot off if you're lucky. So absolutely, he doesn't assemble that on a roof and then shoot him in the throat at 200 yards. It's horse crap.
No, it just doesn't happen. And there's no way it disassembled and broke down and fit in here. So where's the gun? I think it's incumbent on the investigators to say, okay, here's the gun.
By the way, that's a key point. Even disassembled, the barrel is probably 6-7 inches longer than that backpack. Put that back up. That's a good point. There's no way the barrel, you don't disassemble that, folks. It's one piece. There's no way that fits in there. That is, my gosh, if he actually had that in there, it would be sticking out. That's a pretty long run. You'd have 8 inches, 6-7 inches. I mean,
close to a foot, because if you look back up at the rifle, that is when you do break down a Mauser, the action comes off that all metal, the whole metal. It's not just the barrel. You don't unscrew the barrel. That everything from the scope would stay mounted onto that. The entire action. When you break down a Mauser like this, you would remove the bolt. You have to do all these screws, the trigger guard, trigger, all that action comes out at the top, and that would be sticking out of this at least 8 inches, maybe a foot.
And like you said, everybody can focus on camera guns and microphone guns, and the security guard shooting him under the arm, clearly a cell phone. He goes like that, like everybody does. Ooh, there's a boom. But that then makes you ignore the stuff we know is impossible. The shot at a 10-degree angle, not going through, impossible with that round. Obviously, yes, you cannot have even a disassembled one in that backpack. All those things we know, it's not true.
Right. So I've done a lot of defensive pistol training. And so, of course, there's this old joke they tell you, which is, what does somebody do after you shoot them with a pistol? And the answer is whatever they were doing before you shot them. because pistols are not really good at stopping. They don't have the stopping power, not like a rifle does, right? And so unless you hit the brain box directly with a pistol round, you know, now you've hit them and they're bleeding. Well, it takes a while for fluid to leak out enough to stop somebody from doing what they're doing. Charlie was immediately incapacitated, and also that overpressure event that we now can see
all of
from
it says
2 angles.
high-powered rifle. It's just the trajectory doesn't work.
Charlie was immediately right. So now we can get rid of phone guns and palm guns and, you know, little camera guns and exploding mics, or maybe there was a bullet in the mic. You know, all of that. That was just flooding the zone.
I was about to say, folks, I bought just for fun those $200 little joke pen guns and little Derringers and stuff. Tell them just because they're dangerous. You shouldn't get them, folks. You're going to give a death wish. I don't know why I did it when I was younger, just because they were interesting.
Camera guns and
They're super, not just inaccurate. A lot of times they don't even work. But the point is they don't have any penetration power. Even though they're a weak round, it's even weaker. Absolutely, you don't get the off of any of that. It's just horse crap. Again, I keep saying that word because it's just not true. The real word's bullshit.
Yep. And as well, I saw a lot of attempts that, again, were they astroturfed or was it flooding the zone, trying to convince me that he had been shot from the right. And everything I have says he was shot from the left. So classic misdirection. Of course, there was a lot of effort put up to see if we could get him shot from the right.